episode 3. Last time we saw you, I was desperately behind Chris Matthews in my record. And this week, I'm still desperately behind because Chris only lost one game this week. Unbelievable calling by Chris Matthews.
I'm trying to tell you, man, I got the keys to victory. I know what's going on. Somebody needs to come and scoop us both up because we put our heads together. We'll have an amazing record against anybody. I put our record up against anybody.
I'm saying, like, where's ESPN right now? Where's CBS? Where's the Seattle market right now? Like, we're waiting for you guys to pick us up. We're waiting.
Somebody, Gino, holler at us.
Somebody, I'm about to say. But before we get any further in the show, I do want to shout out one thing. Today, we are sponsored by Boston's Big 3 Shop. If you guys actually haven't checked out our new website, we have a new website, bostonsbig3.com. We put out some dope merch, all Cam Newton-oriented the past couple weeks, with some GRD stuff, Green Runs Deep basketball stuff mixed in for the Celtics, who are clawing their way back in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this is a football show. We'll stick to football. Cam Newton line just came out. We have some Chris Matthews gear coming up pretty soon as well. Chris, want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely, man. We got some things going on. I got some stuff working on in the back of my head that's going to brew up some controversial things. Mm-hmm. I think it will definitely have some people talking, and also some things that'll just be on the on the good side. For people who don't want to argue about football or anything like that.
And we've never really been afraid of being controversial, have we, Chris? Because I'm putting on a shirt next week that says Jared Goff isn't good at football. And while he threw 3 touchdowns last week, but I guarantee you he'll poop his too anyway. But let's get right into it. The first game of the week was the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns, Thursday Night Football. And Cleveland comes away with the narrow W, 35-30. Baker Mayfield, 16 of 23, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns and a turnover. Nick Chubb, 22 carries, 130 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And receiving, Odell Beckham Jr. For the first time, we've actually seen him break out, 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. What did you see from Cleveland this week?
Man, I seen a highly motivated team. I don't know if the head coach probably got in them a little bit or something, but they were ready. They came out to play. And I wanted to just take my hat off to that run game and the wide receivers blocking for them. Because you're not going to get those runs unless wide receivers are out there blocking. And, Jarvis Landry has always been a stickler on making sure he blocks for run game and stuff like that. And, of course, Odell did his thing as well. But, overall, I think Cleveland did a great job with, playing against the team, and they had a great game for sure.
Definitely. And if you guys want to check up on Chris Matthews' accuracy, ask Ladarius Webb if Chris Matthews can block downfield. That's a receiver block right there. Anyway.
Hey, he is always talking to me about, man, you can't get open, you can't run a route. I'm like, well, let's lace him up right now.
I'll blow you up, I'm about to say.
We'll do it right now.
I love it. I love it.
My guy, Ladarius.
Definitely. But then again, you hit the nail right on the head. The run game was unbelievable. Like we said, Nick Chubb, 22 carries, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But again, Kareem Hunt, 10 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown. I'm going as far to say that this is the best backfield in the NFL.
Yeah, I believe that. I definitely believe that is, the best backfield. I mean, a lot of people has been, they've been saying, I think the Broncos, they have the best run game, or Dallas, but right now, I think the 1-2 punch is coming out of Cleveland. They are something else.
And it's the depth thing, too. Like you said, like Ezekiel Elliott, yes, obviously top 3 running back in the league right now. But then Tony Pollard isn't sniffing what Kareem Hunt is right now. And it goes back and forth with that. It's all about the depth. And Cleveland has the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. Getting to the Bengals, though, Joe Burrow, who actually became the first rookie in NFL history to throw 60-plus passing attempts without turning the ball over. Joe Burrow will be something special very, very soon. He was 37 at 61, 316 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This kid, Joe Cool, showed me a lot on Thursday night. While he couldn't pull off the W, his defense had 35 points. You can't really win a football game when you're out-dueling like with your defense. But on the ground, Joe Mixon gave him absolutely no help. 16 carries, 46 yards, grisly 2.9 average yards per carry, which was just embarrassing. Joe Burrow had a better average yards per carry running himself. When you look at the receiving help, though, Tyler Boyd balled out 7 catches, 72 yards and a touchdown. And my guy, C.J. Uzomah, 4 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. This Cincinnati Bengals team, and I said this on our pregame show, our preseason power rankings here, that Joe Burrow would have an easier transition to the NFL than Kyler Murray did because of his surrounding weapons. And I still do believe that. But without a defense, Joe Burrow is going to need a lot of help to win a couple games this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. The defense has to step up. You can't be giving up 35 points in a game and expecting to win. The game is always going to end up falling on the shoulders of the defense. So they have to find a way to step up with that. I know that Atkins is hurt right now in the middle for them, but they need some help. They need some help. But let's talk about the offensive side. You were saying that Joe Mixon wasn't giving them no help, but I think the real problem is the offensive line. The offensive line was not giving them any time to set up and throw the ball or just to give Joe Mixon a lane to run in. Joe Mixon still needs the offensive line to set the hole up. He can't just set it up for himself, So, if they shore up that line a little bit more, call some more conventional plays instead of, all these dynamic runs that they're trying to come up with, they'll be good. I think and the only reason why I say that is because I like Joe Mixon a lot. He's a good runner.
Yeah, so I like him a lot too. I think you made a good point about the offensive line. They didn't really give him a lot of help there. But I will say, even on the runs he did break away from, he wasn't really impressing me on Thursday night. And while that's rare for him, I think it's still fair. It's fair game to criticize his game because no matter, bar none, excuses or not, he didn't have a good football game. So we're gonna move on here. Yeah, exactly. We're going to move on here. Tennessee and Jacksonville. Now, this was actually a nail-biter towards the end of the game here.
Yes, it was.
The Titans pulled it out 33-30. Ryan Tannehill, who I shit all over this entire podcast series, was unbelievable on Sunday afternoon. 18 of 24, 239 yards, 4 touchdowns and no picks. That's a legit stat line from Ryan Tannehill.
You gotta start taking back some of your words about some of these quarterbacks you've been talking about.
Dude, I'm all clickbait. I've said this so many times. I'm all clickbait, and it gets me attention, and it works because guess what I'm on a podcast with? Chris Matthews. That's all I'm gonna say. It works. It works. Anyway, Derrick Henry on the ground, 20 carries, 84 yards, no touchdowns, but a 3.4 yards a carry. And Jonnu Smith, who's really breaking out this year, 4 catches, 84 yards, and 2 touchdown catches. He's a legit weapon downfield.
No, he definitely is. I like him a lot compared with Corey Davis that's sitting out there on the outside. They're doing a great job out there, and Tannehill is making those right reads. And it only helps. And it definitely helps that you have Derrick Henry in the backfield, who's holding the defense true to the run game and is allowing them to pass a little bit more than they usually would. I feel like Derrick Henry was having a great game. But, of course, everybody is keyed in on him. King Henry, if you have that kind of name, people are going to be looking for you.
You're not wrong about that. On the other side of the football, the Jacksonville Jaguars, while they took the loss, had a great football game as well. Gardner Minshew Mania is still continuing in week 2, 30 of 45, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions, that actually ended up costing him in the long run. But the surprise of the day, and he had a great game last week as well, James Robinson, 16 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown, 6.4 yards a carry. That is a great stat line for the young running back in Jacksonville.
Yeah, man, definitely. He's coming on. He's coming into his own skin with the team. I feel like, they keep on working him in and allowing him to run the ball. He's gonna produce a lot. He's a short guy. I think he's like 5'7". I'll give him 5'8". I know short people don't like to be called short. But, he's low to the ground, behind those huge offensive linemen that they have out there, and he's going to be amazing for sure this year.
And a little bit of a tidbit here. The second leading rusher was Laviska Shenault, the receiver. 5 attempts, 37 yards, no touchdowns, but 7.4 yards a carry. Now, I look at that, and I think this is a new trend in the NFL. You saw it last year with A.J. Brown in Tennessee with a lot of these reverses. You saw it with Deebo Samuel. You saw it even with N'Keal Harry last year. And now you're seeing it with Laviska Shenault. Do you think this is like a new trend in the NFL where the receivers that are kind of bigger bodied are taking these carries, kind of taking defenses by surprise?
It is because, honestly, now that I think about it, it has to be even before then because Green Bay was doing it with Montgomery, number 88. Yeah. He was doing it a lot for them. So I think it's just something that's really just starting to catch on now. You seen that Curtis Samuels was definitely taking a lot of reverses and handoffs in the backfield. When I could have swore I seen him take a handoff in the backfield, and he actually got positive yards off of it. So, like they say in the NFL, the more you can do, the longer you're going to stay on this team.
Exactly. That's a great point. I really do think versatility is the name of the game now. Yes. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I've been such a non-believer in rushing and receiving stats being exclusive. I think scrimmage yards is the only way to judge a player by character. Look at Christian McCaffrey, right? For rushing yards, he's not going to be top 5, top 3 in the NFL every year, but scrimmage yards will be top 3 guaranteed every single season. It's about how you can affect the game in every facet, even on special teams. And so when you look at it that way, when you have these bigger body guys who are now taking these handoffs, taking snaps out of the backfield, it's dynamic playmakers they need that can actually catch the football, and know how to play the game. It's kind of getting away from the athlete point of view and getting away to the football player, which is I love that trend.
Exactly, but I feel like people pay attention to the scrimmage yards when the certain type of player that you have. When you know that he is a running back, but he catches the ball a lot. Those are the type of players that you look at them and they're like, okay, yeah, he's balling. He's balling for real.
I'm with you on there. Going to receiving here, DJ Chark was leading receiver on the day, 4 receptions, 84 yards, no touchdown. But a guy like Keenan Cole, who's really having a great early part of the season, 6 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. He actually had a couple last week, if I'm not mistaken. What are your thoughts on Keenan Cole?
Man, that dude he's definitely nice, man. I like him. I seen it. I was watching the game and I was watching him, get open off of these a couple of one-on-one coverages. And, I've told you before, Joe. If it's man to man, you're open, and they were throwing it to him. So he was making those catches, man, and I like him a lot, man. He's doing good. DJ Chark right along with him. Those are 2 good wide receivers that's going to be good for a long time.
Right, but like you said, man coverage means you're open, but that also means you're getting the hell of blitz coming at you. And Gardner Minshew, while he played composed most of the game, was rattled. Those 2 interceptions came off those man blitzes. So you're looking at on both sides of it. There are positives and negatives. When you have an experienced quarterback, say like a Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't faze them as much. With these younger guys who are still kind of iffy in the pocket, that's when it starts to come into effect. So keep that in mind as well. Going to the next game.
He'll get it. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out.
I'm with it. I'm team Gardner Minshew. I'm full Minshew mania. I really hope he avoids the tank. I really do.
I'm not on the train yet, but I'm starting to. I think I bought a ticket. I'm just not on yet.
Chugga. Let's go, Chris. Chugga. All right, going to the next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. Tom Brady's first home game in Tampa Bay, and they get the W, 31-17. But I will say, this is not a Tom Brady victory, and we'll get into that after the stat line here. Tom Brady, 23 of 35, 217 yards, a touchdown and a pick, a very pedestrian day for the greatest player of all time. And while you have a great run game in Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, who had a combined, I think, 126 yards and 3 scores on the day, you don't have to be elite passing. But I think the expectation going into, this season alone was Tom Brady's going to throw 50 touchdown passes. They were outrageous expectations for this pass-heavy offense that Bruce Arians typically runs. But you're starting to see now, maybe Tom Brady's suffering from OMS, old man syndrome, where you start to kind of see a decline in passing yards and a lot more rushing. And I say that with the utmost respect. I do. But you saw it with Peyton Manning in 2015, right? So 17 interceptions. His defense carries him. He gets outplayed by Brock freaking Osweiler. You see it in Brett Favre's 41st-year-old season. We'll go with that. 20-something plus years in the league. His second season with the Vikings after he throws that horrendous pick in New Orleans. He comes back. People think, they're going to reload for one more chance, and he sucks. So I'm starting to see a little bit of OMS in Tom Brady. And I was expecting to see it next year. So it's worrying me that he's kind of showing these signs this year. But as long as they're winning, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all. But I told you, Tom Brady, when we had that argument last week about the championships and who won it, I've been trying to tell you, man, Tom Brady is getting old. He might be the GOAT. He might be one of the best in the NFL, but he's getting old. But overall, man, it doesn't really matter. Right. I like what, we'll get into Drew Brees a little bit later, but I like what he said after the game. He said, I'm not here to throw the ball down the field a million times or things like that, or run the ball. He's like, I'm here to win. And that's what Tom Brady is there for. He's there to win. And you surround him with Leonard Fournette, you surround him with Ronald Jones, Shady McCoy. You know, he actually had an okay game as well with catching the ball, even though he dropped the ball at the end in the end zone. But you know, he had a solid game. And then, you know, of course, you're throwing it to Mike Evans, and that was a breath of fresh air just to see a big receiver get the ball, you know, down the field, and he actually was able to get it down there. It was back shoulder throws, but nonetheless, it was still laser point throws. So. I'm all with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
Definitely. And speaking of Mike Evans, 7 receptions for 104 yards and a touchdown.
Yes, sir.
He definitely benefited from Chris Godwin being injured with a concussion this week. But Chris Godwin concussion watch, probably back next week if I had to take a guess.
No, for sure.
Does that lower Mike Evans' production? I think it really does, because when you look at, we talked about this beforehand, as we said this on the first episode we ever did together on our interview series. I said Chris Godwin would have a better year than Mike Evans would, and I still stand by that. I saw that in the first game, and so when you look at it that way, like Mike Evans fantasy holders might want to sell high right now before he starts to drop production.
Because I'm taking them. I would take them right now. My receivers are not doing it right now. Samuel Watkins got knocked out. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I need somebody to help me win a game.
Exactly. And a no-show I want to kind of highlight here. Rob Gronkowski, no receptions, no yards, no touchdowns. And he was only targeted one time. What is going on with Gronk in Tampa Bay?
I'm going to tell you exactly what they're doing with him with what Seattle did with me.
Okay.
They're going to hold him out, allow him to be fresh throughout the whole year, and then when the playoffs hit, they're going to utilize him, and then they're not going to know what's going to happen. Just like Bruce Arians is doing right now, which this is only my assumption. I think that everybody knows that Bruce Arians is a throwing coach. His offense is predicated to getting the ball down the field. I think that he's running the ball on purpose because not only do you have 3 really good running backs, but he wants to throw people off. You know, now people are going to be looking at them like, okay, we got to stop the run. We got to stop the run. We got to stop the run. And then you turn around in the second half of the season and they're throwing the ball.
Right.
Every 2 minutes. And we know that Leonard Fournette can catch the ball. Ronald Jones can do it a little bit, and Shady McCoy can definitely catch the ball. So I think they're setting themselves up for a really good second half run, to be honest with you. This is them just trying to get their legs under them right now.
That's an interesting take, and I like that a lot. But I have a question about something you said before that. Did you know that Seattle would use you in the way they did in the postseason 2014, or were you just praying that they were going to use you that way?
No, I was just praying. I was honestly praying. I didn't know. I was just praying. But I'm more than sure that that's what people do. Coaches do in their franchises.
All right, fair enough. Looking at the other side of the game here, Tampa Bay 31-17. Carolina, tough day for Teddy Bridgewater, 33 of 42, 367 yards, 67 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Teddy Bridgewater turned the ball over a hell of a lot this game and didn't run the ball a single time. That kind of concerns me. While he didn't run the ball very well, he handed the ball off very well. 18 runs for Christian McCaffrey, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And through the air, 4 receptions, 29 yards, no scores. Kind of a down day for the entire Carolina offense in general. And it's a tough defense to play against. I think Tahir Whitehead played a phenomenal game for Tampa Bay.
Yes, he did.
The safety, he's
emerging to be a real star in that defense.
I think he is too. And even a guy like you saw, Antoine Winfield Jr., who had a great game, the rookie. So this defense, you said it earlier in the year, is going to be a scary defense, and I'm starting to believe it. You see Jason Pierre-Paul on one end. You see Shaq Barrett on the other end. You see Levante David. You see Devin White. Now you see those 2 safeties that are emerging out of that backside of the defense there. It's going to be scary to play in Tampa Bay in the later parts of the year.
It's starting to look like 0-2. It's starting to look like 0-2 Tampa. 0-2 Tampa defense, because that defense right there, nobody wanted to throw the ball or run the ball on them. They just wanted to 3 and out, kick the ball. Let's get out of here.
100%. Going to the next game here, Pittsburgh and Denver. Now, this is where everything went to shit in week 2. The injuries started to pile up, and it was a very bad week for injuries, especially for your 49ers. We'll get to that later. Pittsburgh takes the W, 26-21. Ben Roethlisberger, 29-41. 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. James Conner on the ground really carried the load for them. 16 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. 6.6 yards a carry. That's very impressive from the Pitt star.
Yeah, 29-41 is not necessarily good. It's okay just to get the job done, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna figure it out. The Steelers are looking scary right now, to say the least. Their defense, with Bud Dupree and Joe Hayden out there, they're out there running amok out there on that defense. I like the Steelers a lot. Juju Smith, he's doing a good job out there. James Conner, he's running the ball excellent. It was just a boring game.
It was a boring game.
It was one of those games that, it was one of those games where you can fall asleep on the couch and then wake back up and catch the end of it. It was one of those type of games.
It was like baseball. It was like baseball.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it was like.
Exactly.
But it was a great point you made. The Pittsburgh offense is really turning on all cylinders here. And there's a reason why. A lot of these playmakers, while there haven't been huge names in the past, are really starting to pick it up now. Deontay Johnson, 8 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown. Chase Claypool, the rookie, 3 catches, 88 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, Juju's an important part of that offense. Eric Ebron from Indianapolis comes over to Pittsburgh. He has 3 catches for 43 yards. It goes down the line. James Washington, 3 catches, 22 yards. Jalen Samuels, who's a running back receiver combo, which I am in love with. I love those hybrid players. He had a touch for 4 yards as well. This team is very deep offensively, and people don't understand how deep they truly are. And they know how scary the defense is. It's the Iron Curtain Part 2. But when you combine the offense, which is scary good on the low-key level, and the defense is scary good on the high-key level, it's going to be a very tough team in the AFC.
No, definitely. I agree with you. I can see them coming out with a lot of wins in their division. With the stat line that you gave us though, with all the receivers catching the ball, that just sets you up. That just sets them up for the future to come. As long as Ben Roethlisberger is still there.
That's a great point.
That just lets you know that they're trying to spread the ball around, and that means more receivers is going to want to come over there and contribute to that and get the ball.
I'm with you there. And for a while, before Ben Roethlisberger officially made his comeback, I was thinking the Steelers were going to tank, and they were going to take a guy like Justin Fields out of Ohio State. I think that would have been a great match. But now I'm looking at it. Ben Roethlisberger is performing well so far.
Yes,
if he continues that through the next year, they'll have to wait on that pick. And I wonder if that's actually detrimental to them in the long term. Well, that's more of a question we can answer a year down the line.
Yeah, I think they'll pick him up anyway because, Ben Roethlisberger is going to the end of the line, for him. And as long as, along with a lot of other quarterbacks, time is moving on, and, they need to get some fresh blood in there. And for me personally, I will bring him in just so he can get groomed by one of the best quarterbacks in history, by Ben Roethlisberger, and let him, develop and flourish.
Right. And I'm with you. But the way Pittsburgh's trending right now, they won't have the opportunity to take Justin Fields. He's going to go top 5, top 10 in the NFL draft. And so unless you have a historic collapse, I really don't see them getting a top 10 pick this year.
I can see them. We'll get into that another time. We'll get into that. I'll give you my little hot take on that another time.
All right.
I have some things in my head though. I have some things in my head that I'm thinking about.
Keep them locked and loaded for me. All right, Denver on the other side of the ball. Drew Lock goes down after a mere 1 for 5, passing attempts, 20 yards total on the day. And Drew Lock, I'm actually a huge Drew Lock guy. I was a huge fan of this youth movement in Denver because for the longest time, I hated the Denver Broncos. Being from New England, obviously, the Peyton Manning-led Broncos are one of my worst nightmares. And I was so glad when he finally retired and they sucked for like 3 or 4 straight years. But now that hatred's dissipated a little bit, I'm a big Denver Broncos guy. I believe what Drew Lock's doing. I believe in the Melvin Gordon, Royce Freeman, Philip Lindsay backfield. I believe in this receiving room, which is incredibly deep with Courtland Sutton, Jared Jeudy, even Noah Fant and KJ Hamler. But the injuries starting to pile up, and this is the sad part. Drew Lock goes down, and he'll be out for a couple weeks at the very least. Courtland Sutton tears his ACL, out for the entire year. A huge loss to the Denver Broncos.
He just got back, so I feel bad for him.
I play horrible for him. I really do. And it begs the question whether or not this Broncos offense, I should say. I'm all over the place today. The Broncos offense, what will they do moving forward? Like we believe in Jerry Jeudy. I think it's established from now on. His footwork's impeccable. Amari Cooper clone in Denver. But like we said with Amari Cooper, it took him a few years to get to the elite level status he's at right now. Does Jerry Jeudy fill those shoes as slowly? If he does, Denver's heading for a piss poor record. And so I'm looking at this. His expectations were so high coming into the year, but now we start tampering them because injuries starting to pile up. And this is a direct result of having no preseason, no training camp, because guys aren't getting hit enough. Guys aren't playing, live reps enough. Their bodies are not attuned to this kind of physical level. And so you have guys, these stars going down early, and people are wondering, hey, is it the turf? No, it's not the turf. It's that they haven't been conditioned yet.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're definitely right about that. It's going to take some time. I feel like the second half of the season, though, is going to be very interesting because a lot of people are going to be coming back and, making people pay for, the time that they were off. But I agree with you with the Drew Lock. I am also a fan of him. Mm-hmm. He seems very poised when he's out there. He's not rattled. He's not easily rattled. He can run a little bit. He throws the ball on a dime, which is a receiver's dream right there. And also, with Jerry Jeudy, I think he's going to be an amazing wide receiver. But those injuries, that's part of the game. You have to figure it out. And COVID and all that stuff, and not having the training camps and things like that, that's going to hurt. But somebody's going to have to figure it out. It's sad to say, and it might not be Jared Jeudy. Mm-hmm. It might not be Drew Lock. It could be somebody else that's just sitting there that's like, it clicks in their head and they figure it out. And, you just have to move on. But that's a part of the game. And I wish the best for them. I wish they have a speedy recovery. But that's the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. But I question the Broncos' ability to come back from this 0-2 deficit simply because I do not believe in Vic Fangio's coaching just yet. He had an impressive –
hang on the run.
Huh?
You got to hang on the run. You got to hang on to the run.
I agree with you, but I'm saying in general, when injuries start to pile up, the locker room starts to kind of get away from coaches typically because they're like, oh, we suck. We have none of our players and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's on the coaching staff to keep that morale level and keep their players, on focus and on task. When I look at it that way, Vic Fangio hasn't really shown me a lot of leadership in this Denver Broncos, franchise yet. While last year down the stretch, he had a great run there, 5-3 to finish the season with Drew Lock as a starter. Coming in now, he's 0-2, doesn't have his quarterback, doesn't have his star receiver out for the rest of the year. What does he do to kind of re-energize that locker room? It'll be interesting to see if he can actually get that locker room re-energized, coming down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, definitely. But I would say if anybody is in that locker room thinking that they suck, he's already lost the locker room. Because if you're a guy that's sitting on the bench and you watch a guy who may be first string, your third or your second, and you don't think that you can come in there and play and be the man, you lost the locker room already.
And you also lost a lot.
It don't even have to take long.
You also lost a lot of veteran presence, though. Look at a guy like Chris Harris Jr., who was there for forever, right? He leaves a gaping hole in leadership on the defensive side, while you still have Von Miller, granted, has still a big loss in the secondary specifically. You look at it offensively even, and there's going to be losses all around the board. So I'm just interested to see how he handles this situation moving forward.
I got a hunch.
Hit me.
I got a hunch. I think they'll give up Von Miller next year.
Next year, not the deadline?
Nope. Next year.
Nope.
He has to prove himself. He has to get back healthy and get back to his form. Mm-hmm. And once he do that, I'm pretty sure they'll get rid of him because he's a great player. I know Bronco fans wants him there for the remainder of his time. But just looking into the future, you want to get some people for your players. Honestly, I mean for your team, you have to make those tough decisions, and that's going to be one tough decision for him.
Yeah, that's be a culture shock decision, I think, in general.
For sure.
But like you said, it's a new era in Denver, so it might not be the worst move in the world. Moving on to the next game here, because we've been kind of on this Denver game for a while, and it was a terrible game. It was a boring game, too. Anyway, L.A. and Philadelphia, the match of the number 1, number 2 overall pick from just a few years ago, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, who I have been mercilessly ripping on for our entirety of our podcast here. But he had a great game. Credit where credit's due. Jared Goff was 20 of 27, 267 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had a great game. You can't knock him for anything he did. Even on the ground, he had a lot of help as well. Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown split the carry, 12 for 81 for a touchdown for the former and 11 and 47 for the latter. They had a great offensive game in general.
Yeah, no, they did. I feel like this is a great offense for right now. Future in the future, are they going to be able to win games with this offense? I don't think so.
I would say
They're
no
gonna
as
have
well.
to. Yeah, they're gonna have to do more. I personally don't like, even though that teams are doing it. I personally don't like having receivers running reverses every 2 minutes or coming out the backfield. Like I don't believe in that. I believe in lining him up and letting them run routes and letting your quarterback make the right decision on where he needs to throw the ball or who he needs to give it to.
Well, that's another thing here. Is Sean McVay covering Jared Goff's ass when it comes to decision making? Is that why Goff is excelling this year? We don't know. It could be, but
you might be on to something.
That's what I'm trying to say. Big brain over here, Joe Stafford. But I agree with you. Down the line, it might not be a great offense for LA to run, especially considering I'm not a big fan of their offensive line.
Yeah,
because Philadelphia's defense is not that scary, and they still had a pretty profound impact on that game anyway. But going on the other side of the ball here, Carson Wentz had a piss-poor day. 26 of 43, 242 yards, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He had a touchdown on the ground, but at that point, he only scored 19 points. So what were your impression of Carson Wentz this week?
I wasn't too excited about watching him play the game, but that's also a given because you're going up against arguably one of the best defenses in the game. Mm-hmm. when you have Aaron Donald that's in your face every 2 minutes, and then you have Jalen Ramsey that's locking down your top receivers. Honestly, he's locking down players he's not even guarding. He's making plays, and they're I can't really talk too much about the Eagles. I can only speak more about the Rams defense, because that's really what showed that game. That was another little head nod type of a game.
Also speaks volumes about the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, which has been historically horrendous this season. Yeah. And it shows in a stat line. But granted, Miles Sanders had a great football game. 20 carries on the ground, 95 yards and a touchdown. Also added 3 receptions for 36 yards through the air. He came back from injury from week 1, looks great in his debut, but without an offensive line to kind of anchor this offense, they're not going anywhere this year. They're going nowhere this year. And it's sad to say, 'cause I'm a big defender of Carson Wentz, but you can't play quarterback on your ass, and you can't throw interceptions when there's no pressure too. There's a balance to be struck there.
And I'm pretty sure he's done running. I'm pretty sure of that. He's not trying to go out there and after that horrific knee injury that he had. I'm pretty sure he's not trying to do any of that.
We'll go on the next game anyway, because the Eagles and Rams aren't really worth talking about anyway. There won't be players coming down the line.
Not at all.
But this was a tough game for you to watch, I'm sure. The San Francisco 49ers and the New York Jets. While the Niners steamrolled them 31-13, the Niners actually might have lost the day when it comes to injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down with an injury. Raheem Mostert goes down with an injury. And both of your star rushers, Solomon Thomas and Joey Bosa, or Nick Bosa, go down with torn ACLs. Coming from a Niners fan, directly, what does that mean for the future of this team?
It sucks. It's hard, but next man up. Next man up. That's what I'm looking at. I can't go off of the injuries and worry about who's out, even though they're notable players. But it's a part of next man up. Our game is predicated on the run. In our defense, we have stout players on both sides of the ball. I'm not too worried about it.
I will say one thing I am worried about, because Raheem Mostert obviously carries the load for that team in the run game. And while you have a good backfield in general, Tevin Coleman, who you signed for a lot of money, carried the ball 14 times this game and had 12 total rush yards. He averaged less than a yard a carry. Doesn't that concern you?
Yeah, well, you got to think about it. You can't really give him the whole workload because he's just coming off of a knee injury. So it's things like that you can't really, we can't really go full force into. You still got Jerick McKinnon that's still out there. I'm pretty sure he's going to get more of a chance to contribute to the team. Who else do you have out there? I can't think of his name, but we have players out there that'll be able to step in. Like I said, we'll be able to step in and keep the game, keep the ball rolling. And I think this is more of a coaching coaching team. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. It's more of a coaching team where our scheme is better than the other team, and not our players are better than the other team right now.
I can see that. I agree with that as well. There's something ironic that happened in this game, and it's a good ironic. You have guys like Jimmy Garoppolo who go down, Raheem Mostert, your two star edge rushers. But then you guys have Jordan Reed, who's probably the most injury-prone player in the NFL, catch 7 passes for 50 yards and 2 scores. I was ecstatic to see Jordan Reed excel in a game where people just sold him down the river, saying he wasn't worth signing. I love that for Jordan Reed.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really don't care about injuries. Injuries, as long as you're coming in there and you're going to ball. Now, we're not sitting here going to say that he's going to replace, Kittle, but, he's a solid player. He was a first-round draft pick, so, he's a reliable player.
If Jordan Reed can ball out anywhere near the fashion where he did in Washington, this will be a scary two-headed dragon at tight end for the Niners. So I'm interested to see if he can keep this up and stay healthy is the main thing for him down the line. The New York Jets stat line. This is gross to read, and I say that as a Patriots fan and as a football fan in general. If you're a New York Jets fan, I am actually very, very sorry for you. I mourn with you because every single year, every single decade, you guys suck, and it's brutal, and I would never wish upon my worst enemy. But my roommate's actually a Jets fan, so we'll keep it down.
Really?
He's actually listening.
Oh wow!
He's a Jets fan.
Oh wow! Yeah, I think it's you gotta. We're talking about top level here. That's what it really is. We're talking about owners. We're talking about the owner and the GM. Well, let's talk about those two guys. Those two guys are the ones that needs to be out of there because they're not giving the Jets any help at all. You're talking about you gave up Jamal Adams. You don't put any money into your offensive line or your wide receivers. And you're just out there just running around, just hoping and praying that, your quarterback can save your life. And that's not the case. Your defense isn't doing anything. Like, what's really going on? The Jets are starting to get the same curse that the Knicks have on them, where they can't get anything going for themselves no matter who they pick up. They need to change everything in there.
Chris, I'm going to launch something. I want Boston's Big Three Nation, Stafford and Matthews Nation to back us up on this.
Okay.
I'm officially putting the ballot in. Stafford and Matthews for GM and CEO of the New York Jets. We're going to turn this team around. We're putting the ballot in.
Right now.
Right now. We're putting it right now. We're going to actively go outside MetLife Stadium and campaign that you hire us immediately because I'm damn sure we know more about football than your past 20 GMs have. That's all I'm going to say.
It is ugly and disgusting how they do not care about – so it doesn't matter what they say on paper or in the news. It's the facts. It's the reality of the whole thing is that they don't care about their team. They're just collecting money from the stadium and, from all the drinking and stuff when people were able to join the games. And now they're just sitting back, just relaxing. Like, I don't know what they're waiting on. I don't know what they're doing.
This is legitimately like the Cleveland Browns level of incompetence. It's approaching that level. And when you approach that level, it's better to just cut bait, cut everyone loose, and just start from scratch.
Every single person needs to go.
And I will start on this, and I'll go on that train right now. I've been a Sam Darnold avid defender for the past 2 seasons. I am officially hopping off the Sam Darnold train. It's time for the New York Jets to draft another quarterback.
It's about time.
It's about time. And it's
I
sad
feel
to
bad
say.
because he's an SC player, and I love SC. I love SC players, and they're historically they've been really good players, especially coming out of. A quarterback coming out of SC. Your sky's the limit for you.
You mean Mark Sanchez?
Yeah, I was just about to say Mark Sanchez and John David Booty. They were like exceptions right there. But let's not say that Mark Sanchez didn't have a.
I'm with you.
Didn't do good though.
I'm with you.
He did good at a time.
He beat Brady twice.
Exactly.
That's all I'm going to say. Anyway.
Exactly.
But we talk about the New York Jets needing to cut bait. One guy they shouldn't cut is Frank freaking Gore, who is 40-something years old, 20 carries, 63 yards. And while that's not the most impressive stat line in the world, The fact he's the only thing going for your offense right now is embarrassing. How about we hire him as the GM next time?
They need to do something. They need to let him do everything, to be honest with you. Let him throw the ball, too, I guess. You know, he is an epitome of a professional. You know, Frank Gore, no, he's been around for a while. Obviously, we know that by his age. But he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes.
I think so as well.
Gets done.
100%. It's the longevity with him. It's the longevity. Yeah.
And not a lot of running backs can do that. Not a lot of running backs can do that. He's been in there for what? How long has he been in there?
I think it's 18 years, something like that.
Yeah, 18. Something like that. Come on now. The average lifespan for a running back is like 2.5, 3 years.
Exactly. So it is unbelievable though. For the Jets offensively, it's funny. The top two players that led the team in receptions were New England Patriot castoffs, Chris Hogan and Braxton Berrios. Yeah. 6 catches for 75 yards for Hogan and 6 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown for Braxton Honeynut Berrios. This team is not even worth talking about. I don't want to waste my breath. I don't want to waste my time. The New York Jets might actually get Trevor Lawrence. And I really don't want to see Trevor Lawrence's career ruined, but it might happen. It might happen.
It might happen. I mean, he might be in the same boat with Joe Burrows and try to flip things around.
I hope not as a Patriots fan, but we're going to move on here. Buffalo and Miami. Now, this was a closer game than anyone expected.
Yeah.
While Buffalo pulled the victory out, 31-28, the Miami Dolphins actually showed some fight for the first time this season. But Josh Allen, let's talk about Josh Allen for a minute.
Yeah.
24 of 35. 417 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Josh Allen looks like the real deal this season.
Yeah, I've been telling everybody that, you know, let him get some time underneath his belt. Let him get another offseason. He's going to come back ready to play. And, you know, the first game, it was a little shaky, but, you know, he still played well. And his runs are amazing. Did you see the stiff arm that he put on, buddy? On
Kyle Van Noy?
Man. And that looked like some Marshawn stiff arms right there.
No, that's big country. That's what I'm gonna start calling him. He's big country. That's what I'm gonna start calling Josh Allen. I'm telling you, he looks great in shorts, by the way. He's 6'6". But I am gonna say he trucked Kyle Van Noy, and it's payback too, because Kyle Van Noy tried to take Cam Newton's chain last week. Dipped out of the conversation before things got physical, and this is your payback. National television getting humiliated by a quarterback. We're an anti-Kyle Van Noy podcast now. I'm declaring that.
Of course, a Patriots fan will want him to get done up like that because they did him wrong with their team.
I'm saying, what's up with the Russ?
They snatched his chain. They didn't take it. He just snatched it off. You know,
Chris, you're telling me, and when you were playing in Seattle, if someone stole Russell Wilson's chain off his throat of his kids, you wouldn't do something about that after the game?
I would definitely do something. But you need to ask the question, would Russ do something if they snatched the chain off of him?
No, he wouldn't.
That's the question.
No, he wouldn't. Russell Wilson.
And I can't help. I'm not going to help nobody that's not going to be able to help themselves.
Russell Wilson's like the dad of the NFL, like the overarching dad of the NFL. It's great. It's great content. It's awesome. I love it. Getting back to the game, though, Buffalo, Devin Singletary, your guy, 10 carries, 56 yards, no touchdowns. And obviously, Josh Allen adds 18 yards and 4 carries on the ground as well. But the star of the show, and we said this so many times on the podcast, guys, start listening to us because we actually have good content. Stephon Diggs, 8 receptions, 153 yards and a touchdown. He is the real deal, and I bet he's laughing his ass off with Kirk Cousins being a buffoon in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely, and I'm pretty sure Adam Thielen wants to go as well. But, Diggs, we talked about him. We talked about him plenty of times, and like I said, the guy is an amazing route runner, and he's fast. He has great hands. He's smart. He's a little guy, but he has all the intangibles you would want in a wide receiver, and he's just displaying it. That shows you that he doesn't need a elite quarterback just to get off. Like he just needs somebody. Third grader could be fine. Throwing him the ball, he's going to make something happen.
Exactly. And obviously the best deep ball catcher in the NFL compared with one of the best deep throwers in the NFL, good things are going to happen. So I'm happy to see Buffalo actually thriving for once. But going to Miami here, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the best September quarterback of all time. I'll still maintain that. 31 of 47, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't win the game, but brought him really, really, really freaking close.
Yes, he did. He's a great, we talk about him a lot here, talking about the magic that's not happening right now, but he showed it this past game, man. And, he's another professional that I really admire watching him play. We give him a lot of flack, and I'm talking about we as in social, as a media marketing group. We all get it. We all give him stuff. We all give him shit, but he is a true testament to a professional, and he proved us wrong. He proved us wrong this week. Hopefully he can keep it going.
Exactly. But the surprise there, I think, for Miami, Mike Gesicki, the tight end, 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Hell of a coming out week against Buffalo's defense for Mike Gesicki, keeping it close with a really, really good football team.
And don't sleep on the Miami's running back as well.
Yeah, Matt Breida.
Yeah. He's doing no. What's his name? Where's my sheet at?
Where's your notes, Chris?
Golly, man. What is the guy's name?
I'll beat you to it. Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin. That guy is going to be nice. I think if he, they keep on, allowing him to flourish, he's going to be a good runner. He's going to be a good running back. I can see the potential in him.
I could see that too as well. One of my favorite games this week, while I actually lost on this pick in my sheet here, I am basking in the glory of how piss poor Kirk Cousins is performing right now. I hate Kirk Cousins in my butt. And just for reference here, I only say this because back home, everybody has like a group chat from back home, right? Your 4 or 5 closest friends, just the boys talking football, right? And I've had this kid in my ear. One of my best friends, by the way. I love the kid, but I've had this kid in my ear for the past 3 or 4 years, just going to bat for the most average quarterback in the league, Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins gets $30 million fully guaranteed contract from Minnesota. He's freaking out like, the NFL's finally recognizing his talent and everything. Really, Spencer? Really? Because he went 11 for 26, 113 yards, and 3 interceptions against the Indianapolis Colts defense, which, by the way, their secondary is so banged up, it's embarrassing. And you threw 3 picks and didn't eclipse 200 yards in this team. Kirk Cousins, you suck, buddy. You are terrible.
It sounds like when I have a son, I'm going to let him play quarterback. No matter if you do good or bad, bro, they're going to pay you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Jesus Christ, Kirk Cousins, you are horrible. But I like it, though. I like it because I'm earning a lot of money off my buddy here, a lot of bets here.
Yeah. But I really wish they'd do a little bit better, though, on the offensive end. And it's the offensive line as well that also needs to pick up on a couple things. Sometimes on the right side of that line, it was getting a little shaky over there. So, let's toughen that up a little bit, and I'm pretty sure they'll get back in the swing of things over there.
I agree with you there. I don't want to keep harping on this, but I do have one more question for you pertaining to this one thing because it's really been driving me crazy this last week. He keeps comparing Kirk Cousins and Cam Newton and says Kirk Cousins – this kid Spencer, I'll send you his number so you can talk some sense into him. He's saying that Kirk Cousins is a better football player than Cam Newton.
Oh, my God. What is he, on drugs?
I'm about to say, I want whatever he's smoking. He's smoking the same stuff Josh Gordon is. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's blowing my mind. And I talked to him. I try to talk some sense into him. Has Kirk Cousins ever played MVP football at any point in his career? No. So the answer is Cam Newton's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. That's a simple answer.
Cam Newton has been to the Super Bowl. He's won. Did he win an MVP?
He won an MVP. He won an All-Pro. He's been the Pro Bowl more times. He has more wins than Kirk Cousins. He has more pass yards, more passing touchdowns, more rushing yards, more rushing touchdowns. I cannot stress how annoying this has been and having to be an actual argument. It's not close. Stop it.
You just need to disassociate yourself from him.
He
says that again, just leave him alone. Leave him alone.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to toss him a little cameo video of you, just kind of roasting him for Kirk Cousins' love and everything. I'll just do that for him. But getting back to the game here, the Vikings actually had a decent game on the ground here. Dalvin Cook, 14 attempts, 63 yards and a touchdown. He actually had a decent game, but if you can't pass the ball, you're not going anywhere against this Indianapolis Colts front 7, which is dangerous.
Yeah, man. Those guys out there, the Colts, the Colts defense is looking nice. They need to shore up a little bit on the passing game, but overall they're a solid defense. And Dalvin Cook, that boy's a grown man running against little boys out there. He is just doing what he wants, and I'm so happy that he is finally healthy and he's able to play throughout this year. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed because things happen, and I don't know the guy personally, so I don't know what he does on his off time if he's making sure his body is right though. But if he stays healthy, man, he's going to be he's going to make them go far.
I agree with you there. You run the ball in the playoffs, you'll get very, very far as long as he plays good defense as well. I really hope he stays solid and stays healthy, like you said, throughout the course of the season because historically, history will tell you he doesn't really stay healthy when it comes to the stretch part of the year. So I'm praying for a healthy Dalvin Cook down the line here. But going to the Colts side of the ball, Phillip Rivers, 19 of 25, 214 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Let's not kid ourselves here. Phillip Rivers did not win the game for the Colts. You know who did? Our guy, Jonathan Taylor, 26 carries, 101 yards and a touchdown. We've been on this for weeks. He was the best running back in this draft class, and he's finally showing it here in week 2.
Yeah, no, he definitely is, man. He was making some great runs, some hard ones as well, because he was going out there, and it wasn't like he was avoiding contact. He was laying the boom sometimes. So I like him. I like him a lot. And Phillip Rivers, he's just getting by. I think at one point in time they should go ahead and try to work in a new quarterback.
My guy Jacoby Brissett, the former Wolfpack member, bring him in. I think Brissett played very well for them last year. So
he did. He did.
I don't.
It was a problem. It was a problem with the line. It was a problem with the offensive line for a little bit, and he had to run a little bit, and Phillip Rivers can't run like that. So
no, he cannot.
At one point in time, I'm pretty sure they're going to figure that out. And
another victim of OMS, Phillip Rivers. We should trademark this thing. Old man syndrome. I love that.
I'm trying to tell you, it's a couple of them out there. It's a couple of them out there that's still doing good, and there's a couple out there that's just collecting the check.
Exactly.
And that's why I need my son to be a quarterback.
Getting back to the game here, the Colts. And this is the shock of the day. My buddy actually had him in DraftKings, won him $5,000 this week. Mo Ali Cox, the former power forward from UCF, turned tight end. 5 receptions, 111 yards.
Yeah.
He had a great game.
No, he did, man. He was making some great catches. He was doing some things out there, bro. I give him up to him. I don't know much about him, so I can't really speak on him like that. But I'm excited to see what he does next week.
A lot of former basketball players turn out to be NFL tight end stars. Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, potentially Mo Ali Cox. I guess we'll see down the line.
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham, another great example. So maybe it's a stereotype. Maybe we should kind of enforce this. Next game on the docket here was the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Now, this game was wicked close towards halftime.
Yes.
Wicked close. But then, my guy, MVP candidate, Aaron Rodgers takes over the football game with a little help from Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers was 18 of 30 for 240 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Aaron Jones, make no mistake, was the star of the show this week. 18 carries, 168 yards on the ground, and 2 scores. Through the air, he was actually the leader in the receptions room. 4 catches, 68 yards, and another score. Where did this come from Aaron Jones?
I also believe that is a product of coaching. I'm just going to keep it all the way honest with you here. I'm not really on the board with Aaron Jones. He's kind of like a in between type of a player for me. But how can you not do good when the defense is letting you run around and do whatever you want to do? It doesn't. Anybody can be a superstar then if if the defense is letting you run around. But I'm not going to take any credit. I'm not going to take any credit away from Aaron Jones. He did good. It's still the NFL, the best of the best. So if you're out there doing it, by all means, man, keep it going.
Chris, you gave me a heart attack just now. I thought you were going to say I'm not sold on Aaron Rodgers. And I was like, dude,
come on,
we talked to Randall Cobb about this. We talked to everyone and their mother about this. Just get on my boat already. We're going to the Lions here. Uncle Matthew Stafford, 20 of 33, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. And something off the field. Matt Stafford took a knee this week before the game. And that was an interesting statement from Matt Stafford, who you wouldn't really expect to be the guy voicing his opinion not outlandishly, but very outspoken like he did on Sunday. What were your thoughts on Matt Stafford's statement before the game?
I thought it was a big deal. I thought it was a major step in the right direction. I honestly believe that everybody is just looking when I'm talking about everybody, I'm talking about the elite quarterbacks that are not black. I think that they're just looking around to see, all right, who's going to go first? That's what I've been kind of looking at, kind of seeing throughout my time in the NFL. And now, everybody is just, doesn't want to rock the boat. Nobody wants to rock the boat because we know how the fans are. The fans get crazy, and the fans will play. I mean, the fans will be a big part in your decision, or if you're going to stay there or you're going to leave, because they make noise, and they'll let you know if you're doing good or not. And if you're doing good, they'll still make noise and let you know that you're not worthy to be there. So it was a great statement, and I hope and further that there are more quarterbacks that step into the light and do the same thing.
Definitely.
And honestly, I'm sorry, but honestly, I don't even care if if they take a knee or not. Just being able to voice your opinion on a platform that you have set up for you, and voicing voicing yourself for equality for everyone is something that would go even further than just taking a knee for me.
I would agree with that as well. Getting back to the game, though, before we get too derailed here, Adrian Peterson, old man Peterson, 7 attempts, 41 yards, led the backfield in Detroit here. AP is not done, and I'm just counting down the yards to the actual digit until he reaches 1,000. Because if he reaches 1,000 on his third team at, 38 years old?
38.
Top 5 all time. And I'm ready to say that definitely. Right here and now.
Definitely. No doubt about it, man. He is a professional along with Frank Gore. Those two guys are very hard workers, and I just love seeing them play, man, because everybody keeps on counting them out. They keep on bouncing around from team to team. You're talking about first ballot Hall of Famers, and they're out here bouncing around from team to team. It sucks, but it's a little gloating in people's faces when you see that these guys are still balling out.
Definitely. Going to the receiving aspect of Detroit's offense here. TJ Hawkinson, 4 receptions, 62 yards, no touchdowns. But an interesting little tidbit right below Hawkinson was DeAndre Swift, the rookie who dropped a touchdown against the Chicago Bears to lose them the game. They didn't shy away. 5 receptions on 5 targets, 60 yards, no scores, but kind of a good bounce back game for the rookie in Detroit.
No, that's definitely good, man. I'm glad to see that he was able to come back in, contribute to the game in a positive way, and kind of just, shake off that rust, shake off that drop. Drops happen. We're just going to be honest here. Drops happen, even for receivers. But he's a good player. I can't wait to see what he does next week.
Definitely. The craziest game in the weekend, and I watched this thing from start to finish. The Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons. Final score, 40-39 in a nail-biter toward the very end.
My nails are gone. I had long nails, and I was sitting up there fidgeting and breaking them off. I'm like, man, this is a good game.
Definitely. So Dak Prescott on the day, 34 of 47, 450 yards through the air and a touchdown. But where he had his damage was on the ground. 5 carries, only 18 yards, but 3 scores on the ground. What are your thoughts on Dak Prescott coming back and winning this game against Atlanta?
Pay him. That's my thoughts. You need to pay the man. He is great. He's showing that he deserves it, and the leadership that he shows, even though he's had the hardship this offseason with his brother, he still comes back and he's still playing at an elite level. He's getting the ball out on time. He's making things happen. He's just being an all-around leader, which is what you want your quarterback to be. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you there too. It just annoys me because as a quarterback who has 3 number 1 receivers in your arsenal, and they have 0 touchdowns in this game, as close as the game it was, you put 40 points, you can't get them a single score. That's what annoys me. It's not a detrimental thing to the offense, but it definitely annoys me. CeeDee Lamb had a great game, though. 6 catches, 106 yards. And actually, just below Amari Cooper, we talked about earlier, another 6 catches, another 100 yards, and no scores. But I just want to score for CeeDee Lamb. That's too much to ask for. It's not even a fantasy thing. I just want to see him succeed.
Need it. He definitely needs it. He needs it. But that's a part of the. That's not all. We can't put that all on Dak because he has to call the plays, and if that's what they're, if they're deciding to run the ball with Zeke, which rightfully so they should, they need to go ahead and accept that. Their time will come. Just because you don't have a touchdown in one game doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
No, most definitely.
You'll get plenty of them in the rest of the season.
I would agree with you there. And speaking of Zeke, 22 carries, 89 yards and a touchdown, a perfect 4 yards a carry. That's the ideal stat line you want from any running back, but especially from Ezekiel Elliott.
And that's why he has Speed Knee on his stomach.
Yeah, that's a great tattoo. That is a great tattoo. I love that tattoo. Anyway, going to Atlanta here. Matt Ryan, while he lost the game in typical Atlanta Falcons choking fashion, he still had a good day. 24 of 36, 273 yards and 4 touchdowns. I have a feeling that Matt Ryan, I know this for a fact. Matt Ryan always gets screwed by his defenses, no matter what the situation is. Yeah, he didn't score when he needed to down the line. But look at it, say, everybody calls him Matty Ice for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clutch normally needs to be. Historically, and they always kind of make fun of him for the playoff losses he has. When you look at it historically, you look quarter by quarter. He's led in all of those games.
Yeah.
He's never been down. He's led in all of those games, And so when you're leading this team down the line here and you're putting up points and your defense isn't helping you out, what are you supposed to do? You can't score 50 points every game, and I understand that from a team perspective. But, guys, get Matt Ryan some help on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I don't understand it because Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded person. You would think that they would put more time in on the defense, but it sucks. And it's not all on Matty Ice's. It's not all Matty Ice's fault. I think it's a combination of the coaching and the defense as well. Because you can't just go out there and just think that you're going to be able to throw the ball 100 times and win a game. That's just not how football is played. You have to be able to run the ball and run the clock out. You're not running the clock out because you're out here trying to throw the ball every 2 minutes and trying to get Julio Jones the ball. You're trying to get Calvin Ridley the ball. These guys are, they deserve the ball, and they're a passing offense, but, you got to run the ball. You got to give Gurley the ball and let him do a little more work.
And speaking of which, they gave him 21 carries. He doesn't do a lot with it. 61 yards total offense, 2.9 yards a carry. Is that offensive line? I think to a certain extent. But we're starting to see here is Gurley's knee starting to become a detrimental factor in his ability to run the football.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. He's had problems with it since college, which didn't hamper him. He still got drafted really high, but it was definitely a focal point on him being drafted. So, yeah, now he's getting a little bit older. And, they're depending on him a little bit because, he is a great running back. But, things happen. Times move on. And I think they need to find another running back. Or go get Freeman back.
Who just signed with the Giants. As we speak. As we're recording this right now. As we speak, he just got signed to the Giants, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be pretty good.
I think it's a good fit, too. But we'll stay on the Falcons for a minute here. Calvin Ridley, 7 receptions, 109 yards, and 2 scores. Is he the new number 1 in this offense?
Absolutely not.
Oh, all right.
Absolutely not. You're not going to sit here and tell me the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, Julio Jones, is not a factor. You got to think about it. If you watch the game, Dallas had 3 people on him in the red zone one time when he ran a corner route, and they were trying to get the ball, but there was 3 people on him. You can't really do much about that. As Calvin Ridley keeps on, as Calvin Ridley continues to ball, they're going to start freeing up Julio Jones. And that's always, that comes with being a number 1 wide receiver. You're going to get double and triple team. So you always have to depend on your number 2 wide receiver. So your number 2 wide receiver has to become the number 1 wide receiver until the number 1 wide receiver gets freed up.
Now, I would tend to agree with you, but there's a little bit of a reservation for me, and this is why.
Okay.
As soon as the game ended, and this is definitely recency bias because the game ended, they lost in horrible fashion, but there were rumors around the Twitter sphere that the Falcons were actually looking to unload Julio Jones before the trade deadline and move on officially from the 31-year-old and go into a new era of offense. And there was rumors the Patriots were going to make a move for Julio Jones. Now, how unreal would Bill Belichick be if he gets Cam Newton on a veteran's minimum contract and then gets after Julio Jones in the same season?
That would be crazy. Honestly, those are two freakish players, to be honest with you. Cam Newton is not a prototypical quarterback. He is definitely a freak out there. And then you pair him up with another freak at wide receiver, these guys will definitely tear up the NFL if they get together. But my question is are you guys willing to take Julio Jones or Odell Beckham?
See, after Odell's performance on Thursday night, I don't think Cleveland wants to trade him. Because
you don't think so?
I think time would tell. I think next week's a big test for them, especially because Odell finally produced and Baker actually connected with them for the first time, in a long time last week. So next week, he going forward. I don't know who they play at to get back into the stats here, but Cleveland next week is the case study. If Odell performs again, they're not trading him. They're going to just ride out for the rest of the season based on the potential. But
I think they will. You have to show product. You have to give your product time to produce for you to put them up there. You can't just put up a bad limit and think people are going to spend high money for it.
Right. I'm with you on that. But getting back to Julio Jones and the possibility of a New England Patriots, tandem
That's nuts.
It is nuts. But you know what else is nuts too? 2 years ago saying Cam Newton would be a free agent for 84 days and Bill Belichick would sign him off the free agency wire. That's all I'm saying.
True.
That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
And so when you look at it in that point of view, is it that crazy? I don't think so. And one more thing about Julio Jones going to the New England Patriots here. If he ends up going to the Patriots, what better player than Julio Jones to mentor and develop N'Keal Harry, who's essentially a carbon copy, just a lot less good? Imagine that. Imagine the things he could teach N'Keal Harry in this offense. It would be a scary, scary sight for any defensive coordinator to deal with.
No, definitely, because you can just see it from Calvin Ridley and what he's doing right now and how Julio Jones has mentored that man from the day he got drafted to now. It would be nice. Anybody, honestly, for that matter, to learn from Julio Jones, who's been at the top for so long, would be a great fit.
I would agree with you there. Move on to the next game here. The 4 o'clock starts here. Actually, let's go on more 1 o'clock game. I forgot about the Giants and the Bears because Saquon Barkley goes down with a torn ACL early in this game and leaves Daniel Jones on the island by himself. Terrible outcome for the Giants moving forward. But
speedy recovery, man.
Speedy recovery. But I will say, granted they had no running back, Daniel Jones almost had a comeback here. They had a chance to win this game at the very end of this game. They were never out of it, and their defense, I'll credit a lot for that. Jabril Peppers had a phenomenal football game.
Yes.
But let's go to Daniel Jones' stat line first. 25 of 40, 241 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. On paper, and this is why stats lie sometimes. On paper, it makes it look like he had a terrible game.
Yes.
He didn't have a great game, but in the end, when it mattered, he was there, putting him in a position to win a football game. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
That's what you call having the winner's gene. He's trying to figure it out. He's slowly but surely inching his way to getting those wins that that the Giants need. And he continues on balling, and now that Freeman is there, will help out with the run game. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but the run game, like we said, is a problem now. Yes, they signed Devontae Freeman. We don't know what kind of shape he's in. We don't know kind of where he's at mentally. We don't really know a lot of stuff about him, so he's a question mark. Let's look at outside Devontae Freeman for this Giants running back stable here. Deion Lewis, former Patriot, love the guy, had 10 carries on Sunday for 20 yards total for 2 yards a carry. That's not exactly comforting if you're Daniel Jones. It's not.
That's true. But at the same time, he's not running with the ones. So, that's something that you have to put into account. Those offensive line is moving a certain way that only Saquon was able to see. Mm-hmm. Now, with time, hopefully this next week, after he has a week of practice underneath his belt, and he figures out where he needs to go, who he needs to run behind, and where those holes are going to come from.
Yeah, I would agree with you there as well. Receiving for the New York Giants, Evan Engram leads the day, 6 catches for 65 yards. Huge Evan Engram guy. If he can actually stay healthy for once and just get his head out of his ass, to be frank with you, he could be a top 5 tight end in this league because his speed is elite. I think he's the fastest tight end in the entire NFL, and that's not a problem. I'm saying.
I don't know.
Who's faster?
Darren Waller.
Darren Waller, I will grant you, but I think it'd be a close race. Going to the Chicago Bears side of the ball here, Mitchell Trubisky, 18 of 28, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Yeah. I find myself actively rooting against Mitch Trubisky. And it sounds terrible to say, but I just don't like him.
Keep saying that. I don't know why. He is a solid quarterback. Is he the best? No. But he's a solid quarterback, man. He's trying to get things done with the pieces that surround him. And you can't, it's not like the coaching staff is like the best coaching staff out there. So you have to deal with that as well.
Anytime you bring in a veteran quarterback to take the starter's position, he's not that good at football.
But he didn't.
Granted, there was basically no offseason, no preseason, no training camp. Yeah, but he did take the job. That's fair. But I'm not a big Mitch Trubisky believer. That's all I'm trying to say here. I think that the Chicago Bears at 2-0 are the biggest fraud in the NFL right now. They should not be 2-0. Come on now. Both games, the first game they should have lost to Detroit. DeAndre Swift drops an easy touchdown catch to win the game. Yep. Now, Daniel Jones is in the position to win the football game with, 5 seconds left? They're on the 20 or 30-yard line, right? And they mess it up with the Giants. That makes sense. But the Bears being 2-0 are a joke. That's a fraudulent team, and I don't like seeing that as their record. That's all I'm going to say.
I think what it is like they're scary on paper. They have a lot of people, especially on the defensive side, that you would look twice at when you're on the field with. But I think they're sheep in wolf's clothing. But yep, they're 2-0.
They are 2-0. You can't take that record away from them. Going to the next game, the first 4:00 game of the week was Arizona and Washington. Kyler Murray dominates yet another team and is starting a potential MVP campaign. Kyler Murray, 26 of 38, 286 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But his real damage, again, like last week, was on the ground. 8 carries, 67 yards, and 2 scores on the ground. What are your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
That he is an electric player. He's he's not only him, but a couple of other quarterbacks as well. But for sure, Kyler Murray is definitely solidifying that you can have a small quarterback. If he can run, he can throw the ball, he's going to be able to play in the NFL. And Kyler Murray is showing that right now. He's playing with them. He's out there playing with them. I watched him run the ball to the left of the field, and he's skipping.
He gave him the Deion Sanders. He gave him the Deion Sanders kind of run there, the fake out there.
That lets you know how fast he is. Only fast people can do stuff like that.
I'm about to say. He's little legs, though. It's easier. He's little legs. He can just run faster. I'm about to say. But on the ground as well, he had some help. Kenyon Drake, 20 attempts, 86 yards, no scores, but really made that defense scared on that read option play that the Cardinals love to run. And when you have 2 dynamic guys in the backfield, one being your quarterback, it's hard to defend. I don't care what defense you have. I don't care what coordinator you have. You can't play contain every single play of the game. And when you can't do that, they will brutalize you in every way possible.
Yes, they're doing a great job over there. I like what Arizona is doing.
Yeah. And DeAndre Hopkins, while he's not a running back, had a phenomenal game. 8 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. This is 1 week removed from a 14-catch performance in week 1. DeAndre Hopkins, and people were kind of writing him off in the desert here, but he looks like a legitimate offensive player of the year candidate.
I mean, that's a lot to say right there. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to jump on that right now, but he's definitely doing a great job. He is definitely a professional. He's abusing these guys out there, and it's I know that people are dreading going up against these two dynamic players right here.
Chris, all right, come on. 24 catches through 2 weeks, over 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I'm
2 weeks?
I'm not going against you, Joe. I'm with you, but I'm just saying.
You're cautiously optimistic.
You got to.
Okay. All right.
Anything can happen. Anybody will. The season has to go on, man.
Yeah, see, the thing is, the difference between you and me is I just go balls to the wall with anything I say and just ride with it. So you got to respect that part of me, but you're keeping me on planet Earth. That's what you're doing for me. You keep me on planet Earth, and that's what I like about you.
I gotta keep you reserved, man.
Exactly. Wait till we go on club, and I'd really keep me reserved a little bit. Gotta say. All right, going to Washington here. Dwayne Haskins, 19 of 33, 223 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad game for the Washington quarterback, but he could have had a better day.
Yeah, he proved to me when he got drafted that he was not serious about football. You're out there, you're talking about you're buying up cars and jewelry, and you're going to the club when you're the franchise. You're the starting quarterback. You're supposed to be the starting quarterback.
Right.
And when you're not doing stuff like that, and time goes on, he might change because he's still a young guy, but you have to be able to pick that up. Quarterbacks that have to be a little bit more mature than everybody else on the field. And I'm not totally sold on him. So when I see him have a mediocre game, I think it's a bad game because he should be having great games.
I'm with you on that. Running the ball. The Redskins actually had a pretty good day. Antonio Gibson, 13 carries, 55 yards and a touchdown. And J.D. McKissick, 8 rushing attempts, 53 yards, no touchdowns, but a 6.6 yards per attempt there. When you're a bad football team, but you have a good run game, things can turn around very quickly for you. It takes a second for a quarterback to turn it around. But a run game at its core needs to be stable throughout the entire year for you to have success.
Absolutely, because once it starts getting cold, then that's when they're really gonna depend on the run game. So they'll keep it going in that sense. But I just need Haskins to do a lot better. I know it's a lot, but it's a part of the game, man. You got to do it.
And I'm with you there. But the number one guy helping Dwayne Haskins here is scary Terry McLaurin. 7 receptions, 125 yards and a touchdown. We're going to have to start talking about Terry McLaurin in the upper echelons of receivers here. Rookie year, balls out, but he's proving to be, at the very least, a top 25 receiver.
I'll go with you on that.
Top 25. And he's starting to sniff top 20 as well. I think you probably put him in that as well.
Yeah, he's definitely doing his part, no matter what the team is doing, and that's a key to success right there for you.
I saw your eyes there. You thought I was gonna say like top 5 or something ridiculous, didn't you? You thought I was gonna go something reckless.
Hell no.
I saw your eyes, Chris. You thought I was gonna say something stupid. I say a lot of stupid stuff, but that's not stupid. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, going to not the final game, the next game of the week, the Chiefs and the Chargers. This was a nail-biter. Justin Herbert gets the call.
Chargers. Yep.
Chargers, yeah. Justin Herbert gets a call 5 minutes before the game starts. Hey, you're going to be the starter this week. Tyrod Taylor hurt his chest. Really? Okay. I'm saying, really? Justin Herbert comes into this game not prepared in the slightest to start this game, but yet has a phenomenal debut. 22 of 33, 311 yards and a touchdown. Also added a score on the ground. What are your thoughts on Justin Herbert?
I think Justin Herbert did a solid job, even though I wasn't sold on him in the beginning stages because, they were trying to give him the job and he wasn't trying to take it. But, this is what it seems like now. Now it seems like they're absolutely giving him the job without a fight. You're talking about Tyrod Taylor has a chest injury. I don't know how. I don't really believe that, to be honest with you. But if it's true, then okay, we'll go with it. But you being hurt, it's always next man up, and he proves that he can take on the load.
And it's interesting you say that because Anthony Lynn, post-game press conference talks about that, and he says Tyrod Taylor is still our guy, and you say the direct opposite. So this week in practice is really going to be very, very intriguing to see if he sticks to his word there because Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland before he got fired said the same thing. Said Tyrod Taylor's our guy. And then a week later, he wasn't a starter anymore. So coaches flip loyalty a lot. So is it going to be this week or next week? We said week 5 or 6. Might be week 3. I guess we're going to have to wait and find out here.
It might be.
Yeah, but you can't deny what Herbert did on Sunday. Also, he had some help on the ground. Austin Eckler, 16 carries, 93 yards, no touchdowns, but had a great average yards per carry. Also added some stuff in the air, 4 receptions, 55 yards, no scores. But all over the field, Keenan Allen, 7 receptions, 96 yards. Herbert had a lot to work with. I think that definitely helped him moving forward, as well as the Chiefs defense getting banged up, losing 2 of their inside linebackers and an edge rusher in Frank Clark. So that's the reason why they were down early. But the reason they came out on top, his name's Patrick Mahomes. 27 of 47, 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. And also had some help from his buddy Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 10 rushing attempts for 38 yards. But as we've seen in the last couple of weeks here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is much more than a running back. He's a weapon. Through the air, 6 receptions, 32 yards, and no touchdowns. While it does not scream at you superstar, it screams efficient. It screams I can affect the game on all 3 levels.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I think though he will end up eventually getting to that elite level though.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I can see that eventually. Yeah.
You have a phenomenal quarterback who you're sitting next to day in and day out in the meeting rooms. I'm sure that's happening. And you're just soaking up all the energy, and they're putting all their energy into Patrick Mahomes, and that's only going to spread out to everybody else who's sitting next to him. So I think Hilaire is going to be a problem. He's going to be a real problem for years to come.
And he showed it in the Houston game to open the season. He really is going to be a problem moving forward. But the 2 big guys for Kansas City, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, had phenomenal days as well. Tyreek Hill, 5 receptions, 99 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 9 receptions, 90 yards and a touchdown. The Chiefs' offense is too much to stop when it comes down to it. It really is too much to stop. No matter who it is, they can score from anywhere in the field, any position in the field, any formation on the field. Doesn't matter. There's always going to be a mismatch somewhere down the line. And the Chiefs are proving it time and again throughout this game.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, man. Andy Reid is doing a phenomenal job with mixing up the formations and keeping people guessing. Because it seems like every time they get on the field, it looks like the defense has a plan, and then it totally switches up when they come out in these weird, funky formations and these routes, and they're like, you see them out there tapping their helmets, like changing the defense just to get in their safety deep. So yeah, they're doing a great job out there. You can't really, there's not really much to say about the Super Bowl champs, reigning Super Bowl champs right now. The defense, the injuries, that's definitely going to hurt, but I'm sure they have more than enough players out there to help step in and fill in until those guys get back.
I'm with you. Going to the next game here, Baltimore and Houston. I was expecting a quarterback duel here. Not quite what we got. Lamar Jackson, while he won the game 33-16, had a very pedestrian day. 18 of 24, 204 yards in the air, and a touchdown. On the ground, 16 carries, 54 yards, and no touchdowns. I look at that, and people are like, oh, is Lamar losing his step? No, he's not. All right, it's one bad game. Don't blow your load on this. It's not a big deal. Lamar Jackson will be back next week in full force. Don't worry about it. His running game has carried him through the day today. Gus Edwards, 10 carries, 73 yards, no scores. But Mark Ingram, big trust himself, 9 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown. This team is proving to me that Lamar Jackson is not their only point of offense. They have multiple other guys that they can spread out with you, and they can make you pay for paying too much attention to Lamar Jackson, which is a problem when you look at it from a different perspective, because if you're spreading the ball out too much defensively, Lamar Jackson will cook you. It's a lose-lose situation. It's a pick-your-poison situation. And this is all down, like you said over and over again in this podcast, coaching. John Harbaugh knows what the hell he's doing, and it's showing.
Yes, I 100% agree with you there, and that's why I would like to say that I don't want to say that they intentionally played that way to a lesser to that level of play that they had. But at the same time, you have to think about it and be smart, be strategically smart. Because I looked until week 3 and I noticed who they were playing, which is going to be a huge game, and we'll get to that, in the next segment. But that showed me when I looked at the highlights of the game, that showed me that they're just planning for that next big game, which is it will be a big game, and they're not trying to show everything out there, because you're talking about Mark Andrews didn't even crack the 100-yard game. He had 2 or 3 receptions.
He had a catch for 29 yards.
He wasn't really a factor, and we all know how good Mark Andrews is.
Right. A person who was a factor today, Marquise Hollywood Brown, 5 receptions for 42 yards. He's put on 20 pounds of muscle this offseason and didn't lose a lick of speed. That is scary for any quarterback going against him.
No, definitely, man. He's a burner out there, and you keep on giving him those deep routes, he's going to keep on burning them. And I don't know why nobody won't back up or put 2 people on him, because he is the number 1 receiver out there.
Yep, definitely. Going to the Houston side of the ball, Deshaun Watson, 25 of 36, 275 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Not the best day for D. Watson in Houston, but still an average game. David Johnson on the ground, 11 attempts, 34 yards, and no scores on the ground. The run game really hurt him this game, and it was evident going forward that the Baltimore Ravens defensive line, who added Calais Campbell, Matthew Judon, they return, even a guy like Derek Wolfe, a former Denver Bronco. This defense is for real, and the one thing they were missing was a defensive line. And guess what they got? A defensive line. Mm-hmm. This defense might be as equally scary as this offense, and I don't have a problem saying that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true with that. I agree 100% with you on that. Dallas, not Dallas, the Texans, they actually have a good line, but when you're talking about, you're going up against Calais Campbell, you're going against Matthew Judon, then you're talking about Wolf, and then you got Brandon in the middle of all of that as well, and then you talking about you got the back end where you have these guys in the back end who is just shutting people down out there. It's hard to win a game like that, and D. Watt, he's a phenomenal player, but you can only go so far.
I'm with you. With Marcus Peters playing phenomenal football with that crazy diving interception out of that coverage there. He exploded towards that ball. So it's a hard game to win for Deshaun Watson. Receiving wise for the Texans, they actually had some help this week. Brandon Cooks, 5 receptions for 95 yards. And our guy, Stafford and Matthews guest number one, Randall Cobb, 5 catches, 59 yards, no scores, but targeted 6 times. I'm liking to see them spreading the ball out because they have weapons all over the field. They need to use every single facet of their offense. They targeted David Johnson only 4 times. That needs to be at least 8. They targeted Kenny Stills only 3 times. That needs to be at least 5. So while I like the fact they started spreading the ball out to guys like Randall Cobb, they need to do it on a consistent basis and a more even basis. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think that'll come along with the game. Noticing that going against defenses like that, you're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more and throw the team off, because that's the only way you're going to be able to win the game is if you're throwing the defense off, and if you're not, you're going to end up with a loss.
Definitely. Going to Sunday Night Football, and this was a great football game, no matter how you slice and dice, no matter who won, no matter who lost. Just as a fan of the game, this was just a great game to watch. The Seattle Seahawks took on the New England Patriots in Seattle. The Seahawks come away with the victory 35-30, hand Cam Newton his first loss in New England. But it was a great football game. Russell Wilson, 21 of 28, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns and a pick, but a fluke pick. It was not his fault. It was Greg Olsen's fault. Russell Wilson was the most tactical player on that field throughout the entire day on Sunday. Bar none, every single game. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew how he wanted to do it, and he executed it to the most perfect way possible.
Absolutely, and that's my MVP pick right there, Russell Wilson. He's just doing a great job. They love this guy. He's a great guy on and off the field. He's making plays. He's throwing the ball, and DK Metcalf is starting to become one of the top wide receivers in the game. Like he is doing things that I've only seen Julio Jones do. I was gonna say Julio Jones. When he caught that deep ball down the right side of the field off that DV, that was a grown man catch right there. Nobody else could have done that but him.
And that's on reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore.
Exactly.
Who was draped all over him, by the way. That could have been pass interference easily, and he still came in with the ball. Didn't get tackled, just brushed him off like he was a little 8-year-old Pop Warner.
He brushed him off.
My God, Ryan, watch that play.
And then turned around and jumped up 38 inches in the air just to lay the ball up in the sky. I'm like, this guy is a freak.
And the thing is, even as a Patriots fan, I wasn't even mad, because when it comes down to it, and I'm going to coin this phrase because I said it so many goddamn times in the podcast, and you're going to agree with me here. DK Metcalf, say it with me, Chris, is faster, stronger, and bigger than any defensive back in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
All 3.
Absolutely.
And you can't win against that. You can't. He'll either run past you, run through you, or catch it around you. Like that's how it works.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That is definitely true. But the Seahawks, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. It's exciting to see, especially coming from starting my career off there and watching Russ grow into the player that he is now. Because before we can all honestly say that the Legion of Boom was the leaders of that team, but now it's definitely the offense is leading that team with Russell Wilson at the head of it.
Definitely. He saved me a haircut, too, by the way. Remember last podcast, made a bet. If he didn't get an MVP vote this year, I get a haircut. So I'm saying, got to keep the flow going, everybody.
Yeah.
Back over there, too. Anyway, on the ground, Russell Wilson had a lot of help. Chris Carson carved up this defense. 17 rushes, 72 yards, no touchdowns, but a great average yards per carry. Also, another thing Russell Wilson did phenomenally last night. He played the zone like a fiddle. Anytime the Patriots played zone, he'd be outside the pocket baiting a linebacker to either come in or cover downfield. If he went downfield, he got a first down running. If he came at him, he got a first down passing. You could not win against Russell Wilson last night. I don't care what defense you had out there. It could have been the Legion of Boom. Russell Wilson just played a phenomenal football game last night.
That's different. You're talking about elite players with the Legion of Boom. We can't sit there and just put them out there like they're just some subpar defense.
They're not subpar defense. I'm just saying Russell Wilson was a tactician last night and it showed.
Yeah, for sure.
Receiving the ball, DK Metcalf, 4 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Like we said, a grown-ass man.
Yes.
Another guy who had a great game. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. We won't say anything about it now. We'll keep it a little hush-hush to keep to the end of the episode. But Tyler Lockett, 7 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. Russell Wilson had 5 touchdowns to 5 different players last night.
Yes.
That defines elite. That's the definition of elite.
It does. It definitely does. It definitely does, man. And he's just spreading the ball around. And I think with the offensive coordinator back there, that he's playing to Russell Wilson's favor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
Russell Wilson is definitely a pass first quarterback. But he is definitely mobile. So anytime, like you said, anytime that he's out there in that pocket, he's definitely trying to throw the ball before he runs. But if you give it to him, he's going to run that ball, and he's going to get some yards.
I was going to say there, take what the defense gives you, and that exemplifies what Russell Wilson did on Sunday night. Cam Newton, on the other hand, while people were saying, Cam Newton didn't show me enough in Miami, I was the first one to say that. But Cam Newton Sunday night showed me something I hadn't seen before. In Carolina, in free agency, anywhere. Cam Newton, 30 of 44, 397 yards through the air, a touchdown and a pick. Cam Newton on the ground, 11 attempts, 47 yards on the ground, and 2 touchdowns. I am officially on the Cam Newton train. And I'm happy.
You've been on there.
No, hold on a second here. Last week, I told you and everyone else who listens to this podcast, I need to see more from Cam Newton in the pocket. And what does he do? He gives Julian Edelman the most receiving yards in his career. Remind you, he played with the greatest player of all time in Tom Brady for the entirety of his career.
Yes.
That speaks of volumes. Cam Newton is utilizing every facet that he has in this offense to win football games. If there was any other quarterback outside of Russell Wilson, maybe even Patrick Mahomes, the Patriots win this football game. It came down to one play. And they could have won the game if Cam Newton actually, bit that run outside instead of, taking that kind of power route there.
Well, my thing about that is yes, they could have won that game, but my problem with that is, why didn't they just run the same play that they ran in the second quarter when Cam Newton fakes the run and dumps it over the top
and now,
to his fullback?
I'm glad you brought that up, because Jakob Johnson, actually a favorite in the New England community, because he came over from Germany and was one of the NFL Europa players, actually made the roster for a second year, which we were so happy to see that for him, because he's a hard player, hard-nosed guy, and just a grindy guy, right? And he has his first touchdown catch of his career, and Cam Newton's first touchdown catch or pass as a New England Patriot. I'm glad you brought up the play selection there, because I was screaming at my team. My girlfriend was yelling at me, shut up, I'm trying to go to sleep, because you didn't run an RPO. They put in, out of 11 total players on the offensive side, they put in 9 offensive linemen. 9. And a fullback. That's it. Was anyone surprised when Cam Newton ran that ball? No. No one was surprised. We all know it was coming. And he's not Derrick Henry. I don't care what you say. He's not Derrick Henry.
At all.
In this offense, at the 2 or 3 yard line, right? 2 or 3 yard line, right?
There's on
right.
2.
You can have Edelman out there on the wide out there, right? Sony Michel in the backfield. Run a goddamn RPO. If there's a lane for Michel to run through, hand it off to him. If not, run an option route with Edelman. He either comes back or does that famous zig he loves, or Camden plunges the ball in. Because if you're running a pass game, they can't send all of their players at you. That's all I'm saying. If you ran an RPO, they probably would have scored in that play.
You know what's funny? Is that and I'm including you, everybody got on the Seahawks for throwing the ball on the 1 yard line, but now you're here as a Patriots fan telling your quarterback to throw the ball?
Yeah, I am. 100%. I stand by that 100%. Yeah, I do.
That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Okay, hear me out. When Russell Wilson did it, right, as stupid as it was, right, you have Marshawn in the backfield still. It could have been a read option. It could have been any number of plays. When Cam Newton lined up on that play on Sunday night, the final play of the game, no one thought pass. No one. There was not a running back in the game. They're going to hand off to Jakob Johnson. It's Cam Newton or bust. And we all knew that was going to happen. That's what pisses me off. That's the difference. But I'm glad you brought up Pete Carroll's play calling decisions here. Because the only reason the Patriots even got back in the game is because Pete Carroll called a 40-yard pass downfield like 3rd and 2. He could have ran the ball and just ended the game.
But I mean, you trying to embarrass somebody. I think that's what it was because of the history that we have with the Patriots. But I definitely I would have went for it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have went for it. I would have done it.
There were seconds away, or like I'd say probably 2 yards away from being memed again. The same thing would have happened. They would have just brought it up over and over again. The Seahawks passed on 3rd and 2.
That just shows you how much confidence he has in his defense. That's all it is. You're talking about Jamal Adams is out there creating a muck out there.
I have to say,
Bobby Wagner is still on his high note.
Jamal Adams played a phenomenal football game last night. He had a sack. He had a tackle for loss. He had 6 total tackles and assisted on 4 of them. This guy is a legitimate superstar. And I said this before the season started. He's the best safety in the NFL, and he's proving why right now.
Absolutely.
Getting back to the Patriots, though, Sony Michel had a bad day on the ground. 7 attempts for 19 yards and 0 touchdowns. And I clowned him at the beginning of the season as a Patriots fan. And you were like, no, what the hell are you talking about with Sony Michel? Sony Michel, his rookie year, has a phenomenal rookie year, especially in the postseason. He has one of the best postseasons of any running back in NFL history.
Yes.
Helps win a Super Bowl. Last year, James Devlin goes down with an injury. Actually ends his career. That's why Jakob Johnson's on the roster in the first place. And so does David Andrews, the center for the New England Patriots, who is the anchor of that offensive line. Sony Michel was dog shit last year. And the reason why is because Sony Michel needs a legitimate fullback and an elite offensive line to be effective. Because unlike guys that are franchise running backs, like a LaShawn McCoy or like an Adrian Peterson, he needs someone to guide him into the second level. And even after he's been guided into the second level, he can't make the first guy miss. He just goes down. He takes him for 3 or 4 yards, but he can't make him miss. And I hate that because when you spend a first-round pick on a running back and you miss, that's always going to haunt you for the rest of the time he's on the roster, especially considering his Georgia teammate, Nick Chubb, who is a franchise running back, was still on the draft board, and he actually ended up going a round later. That's what grinds my gears about Sony Michel the most.
Yeah, but I mean, Sony Michel, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball. It's just a different type of runner.
Can he catch the ball though?
What?
Can he catch the ball though?
Sony Michel?
In the NFL, he's shown me.
Watching last year? Did we watch last year? You're talking about he was
Chris,
dog shit.
Look up the stats. Look at the stats.
This dude came out of the game with at least 3 or 4 catches a game.
I think you're watching the wrong guy, buddy. Here, I'm looking at the stats right now. Sony Michel. Talk about James White, or are you talking about Sony Michel?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I'm about to say.
I'm wrong.
This dude
I must be on with it.
He's on Denver time. He's a couple hours behind.
Exactly.
I'm about to say. I'm glad we cleared that up.
I'm on Josh Gordon's time right now.
I'm about to say we cleared everything up, but Sony Michel has 19 receptions for his entire career. This dude cannot catch the football. This dude is one-dimensional and really not an exciting football player to watch. And that's what really pisses me off about Sony Michel.
I think he's just a hard-nosed. He's a hard-nosed runner. He doesn't do all the juking and stuff like that, but he will come in there and hit you.
I don't know.
Now, yes,
I'm not on Sony Michel's
Does he
train.
need some help? I think so. Everybody needs help.
Franchise running backs don't need help.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
LaShawn McCoy had a bad offensive line for the first 5 years of his career and was the most dynamic running back in the entire NFL.
That's one person, but you're looking at what
about franchise running backs?
What about Marshawn Lynch when he was with Buffalo?
Marshawn Lynch. Well, first of all, it's Buffalo. They were the most incompetent organization for like 10 plus years.
I'm just saying he needed help.
All right, look at Jamal Charles.
Okay.
I'm saying I guess there's examples to go back and forth. I will grant you that, but I'm saying Sony Michel, where he was ranked after his rookie year, has been a colossal disappointment for at least for Patriots fans, and I think they should be in the NFL on a larger scale. I think the perception of what Sony Michel is, he's had the same amount of effect he's had in his rookie year. The problem is they're not actually watching the football games, these national media guys. And they're thinking, oh, they have Sony Michel. They're fine at running back. We're not fine at running back. James White, and I want to say this before we move on here. I want to give my condolences to James White. His parents actually died in a car crash right before the game started. His dad actually ended up dying, former police chief in Miami. And his mother, I think, is still in critical condition.
I'm sorry to hear
in Florida. And it was a terrible loss. Our hearts go out to the White family in general.
Definitely. All prayers go up.
It was a horrible, horrible tragedy, and we're hoping James the best of luck in his grieving process.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But getting back to the game here, N'Keal Harry, who actually surprised a lot of people last night, 8 catches, 72 yards, and no touchdowns. He could have gone in the 2-yard line there, and people were kind of getting on him on Twitter and Instagram and stuff for not kind of pushing his way in there. But I'll tell you what I can get, because N'Keal Harry showed me something last night he hasn't shown me throughout his entire career, the ability to go get the football in tough situations, which we need to see from him because that's his main attribute coming out of college. That was the main thing we drafted him for. And so it was nice after he got his head taken off by Quandre Diggs to actually catch the ball. That's what I like to see. That's all I'm going to say about N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I still think the Patriots is gonna make the wild card.
So I'm not sold on the Patriots win the division yet either. I have Buffalo winning the division still, but that could change. So let's get into Monday Night Football, which was a great night to be a Las Vegas Raiders fan. The Raiders take a 34-24 victory over Drew Brees and New Orleans Saints. Mind you, it was the Saints without Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And this is a statement to every person on social media across the NFL community that clown Michael Thomas for only being able to run 3 routes. Well, guess what, guys? Those 3 routes cost you a football game tonight, and it showed how important Michael Thomas is to this offense.
Exactly.
Does he run slants, zigs, and outs a lot? Yeah. Does he do it better than anyone in football? You're goddamn right he does.
And they
put some respect on Michael Thomas's name.
You only need one thing to make it happen in the NFL. He has 3.
Exactly, I'm with you there. The Saints
that sounds like $100 million man to me.
Exactly, I'm with you on that as well. But Chucky gets his second victory as not as the Raiders head coach, but in this young NFL season. Derek Carr, 29 of 38 for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's what we need to see from Derek Carr. If he takes care of the football, lets Josh Jacobs cook like he will week in and week out, and essentially plays the Ryan Tannehill role, if not a more impactful role than Ryan Tannehill, this team will go places. And I'm excited to see John Gruden kind of commandeering this team. And I'm sure he sat down with Derek Carr at the beginning of this year and said, hey, Derek, last season was kind of a bust for you. We were on Hard Knocks. Eyes were on you. You didn't really live to expectations. We're paying you $25 million a year. You're not worth the money right now. I'm sure he said, Chucky has no problem saying that. I'm sure he sat down and said, you're not worth the money. This is your last year to show me something right out the door. And Derek Carr is making good on that opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I think so to an extent. I think they're keeping it real basic for him. His safety blanket was Darren Waller. But
everyone needs a binky, Chris. Everyone needs a binky.
knowing Gruden and Mayock, they're going to get back there because, they all, everybody calls him the master of coaching and play calling and stuff like that. They're going to start getting a little tricky over there, and it's going to start confusing some people. And the one person that it doesn't need to confuse that I think it will is Derek Carr.
I can see that happening as well.
That's going to be the one single tool that's going to mess up Derek Carr's whole year.
Maybe, but I want to see it first. I'm not completely sold on that idea line yet.
All right.
I'm glad you brought up Mike Mayock, because he gives kids like me a dream. I've been covering the NFL draft for about, I think, 5 years now. I'm in my first mock draft when I was 15. And Mike Mayock was always the gold standard for NFL mock drafts. He always released one mock draft. It was always right before the draft started, right? He was the gold standard.
Yes, sir.
And after, I'm sure 20 plus years or so, he gets hired as a general manager of an actual NFL football team. That's my dream. Honestly, when I say it, that's my dream. Being a 20-year-old covering the NFL Combine last year for the first time live, right? I got more picks right than every single CBS sports analyst.
Really?
More picks right. First of all, I'm not clowning CBS because they're a good organization. But if I'm doing that as 20 years old and Mike Mayock got a GM job then, can I scoop one at 35? Like, can I do that? Like, I'm trying to get a similar thing going. I'm just saying. And I'm back on this bullshit too. The New York Jets, listen to this podcast. Stafford and Matthews, CEO and GM. I'm about to say.
I was just about to say that. They need to go ahead and sign this up because
we have to lose.
We can make some things happen.
What do you have to lose? I'm just saying.
Absolutely nothing. You don't care about the team anyway, so you might
exactly. Why not take a shot on us? Have a little fun. Make some drinks in there. We'll get something done. Anyway, going back to the Raiders here. Josh Jacobs, who continues to ball out, 27 carries, 88 yards, no touchdowns, but just carried the load offensively for that team last night. I don't think it's a mistake to say that. But the star of the night, Derek Carr's Binky, the Rob Gronkowski to his Tom Brady, Darren Waller, 12 receptions, 103 yards and a touchdown. This guy's just a flat-out athlete. Like, he just does so many things so well. Shields his body great when he goes up for the football, has natural great hands, and is as fast as lightning for his position. Darren Waller is a top 5 tight end in the league right now, and he's showing it.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you on that. I just think that, they need to be able to incorporate him a little bit more going down the middle of the field.
I agree.
All of his routes is short and to the out. I don't know if that has to do with Derek Carr being able to throw that or what, but I feel like if he's able to cut through the middle of the field, he's going to be able to break for longer runs. How about
some like FL drag with kind of like the post out stuff, like the deep down the field? Like, how about that stuff? Like, I would love to see that with Darren Waller.
And then I'm also going to say this. I got to say this because I have not been on Jacob's side, none, since he's been with the Raiders. I didn't think he would pan out, but he's proven me wrong, and I like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like it. He's doing a great job out there. He's carrying the load, for that run tandem that they have back there.
Yeah, definitely. Going to the other side of the football here, Drew Brees had a tough night without his number one receiver. 26 to 38, 312 yards and a touchdown. I will say, though, it was a valiant effort by Alvin Kamara to make up for that hole that they were missing with Michael Thomas. 13 carries, 79 yards, and 2 scores on the ground. But he led the entire team in receptions as well. 9 receptions for 95 yards, no scores.
I was gonna say when I was watching the game, I'm like, dang, is Kamara a receiver or is he a running back? Because every time he dropped back, he threw it directly to him.
Definitely. Well, you need a Binky in this offense, especially considering Drew Brees is as old as he is, and he likes those slants and outs and short routes that Michael Thomas does so well. And so when you're missing a guy like that in your offense, you need to spread the one weapon you have left all over the field. And Sean Payton, to his credit, did that, but it just was not enough to keep up with the Raiders' pace of play.
Yeah, it was a hard game. It was a hard game for them. They was trying to hold him off, but John Gruden and company definitely they did good. They played their game. They played the game.
I agree with you there. All right, that wraps up week 2 for the NFL season. A couple impressions just right off the bat. Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are running away with MVP right now. Kyler Murray's kind of trailing in the background there. He's still in there, not dark horse quite yet because it's early in the year. But as of right now, it's Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers neck and neck. Yes. Also, a little side note here. Me and Chris are killing the picks, by the way.
Absolutely.
Chris only had 1 loss, and it was the Saints-Raiders, which no one saw coming. So we can even negate that.
CEO.
Exactly. And I had 3 losses. I'm the GM. The CEO fires the GM. That's how it works. You're in charge of me. That's how it works. But seriously, guys, we have valuable knowledge. It's kind of cool to see it pay off. It really is nice to see.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I didn't know how your picks was gonna go. This week I thought you were a little off. Because you like to live on the wild side a little.
Yes,
bit.
I do.
So I was like, okay. I'll let you go with it. But you came through. You only had 3 losses. I think that's definitely admirable. That's something that needs to be commended.
My bookie would disagree with you, but thank you. I appreciate it. I would appreciate it. All right. Going into week 3 here in the NFL season. I can't believe it's week 3 already. It's flying by as it always does. But we have some good games this week on the docket here. We're going to start with Thursday night football. The Dolphins and the Jaguars. Now, on paper, after I said it, doesn't really excite me. We're going to dive a little bit deeper in here. Gardner Minshew is in the midst of Minshew mania. Ryan Fitzpatrick plays his best football in September. He showed it last week. So this actually might be a better game than people realize. Miami gave Buffalo a huge run for their money towards the end of the game on Sunday, and Jacksonville should have knocked off the Titans if not for a couple costly mistakes on Gardner Minshew's behalf. So maybe a better game than people realize. Who are you taking here, Chris?
First off, I want to say I agree with you on that. Miami might give Jacksonville a run for their money for real, and they might come out with the win. But I'm definitely gonna go. I'm gonna hang my hat on Jacksonville. I think that they're gonna be a little bit more polished than Miami.
I'm going with Jacksonville as well because I'm for the mustachioed man himself, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Look, his look is just.
We need to go get the headband, too. We need to go get a headband.
Yeah, fake mustache. I'll do the whole thing. I'll do the whole thing. Yeah, I love that. Go as Halloween for him or something. You can go as Keenan Cole or whatever. But anyway, Dolphins and Jaguars, though. I'm going with Jacksonville as well because I'm on Gardner Minshew's train, like I just said. A couple of good receivers down there, DJ Chark, Keenan Cole, and a lot of good defensive players, honestly, even though they were stripped of a lot of good ones in the offseason.
Yes.
So I'm still going with Jacksonville. They're going to ride the wave with Minshew. Going on to the first 1 o'clock game on the docket. The Niners and the Giants, who are both decimated with injuries.
Yep.
This all depends. We're recording this on Wednesday, just for you guys' knowledge here. Or Tuesday, I'm sorry.
Tuesday.
The 49ers lost Jimmy Garoppolo in this game. We're not sure if he's going to be back in time for Sunday. I still feel confident enough that the Kyle Shanahan can outsmart the New York Giants system in general. I'm going with the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm not you should already know I'm not going against my team. So 49ers all the way. We'll figure it out. Run the ball. Everybody knows that's going to happen. But I think we'll sprinkle in a couple things, a couple passes that'll shock everybody down the field.
And just for the record, Nick Mullins, the backup in San Francisco, isn't a slouch either. He actually played well down the stretch a couple seasons ago.
Exactly.
And there's a reason why they kept on to him. They didn't want to trade him, and there's a reason why. Having a backup now is so valuable, especially when you have a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo who gets hurt on a fairly regular basis. So
yeah, but then you don't sleep on Reed as well. I think he'll have an awesome game as well.
Jordan Reed is exactly stepping up there. Next on the docket, the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 2-0. And the New England Patriots. And this might be bias here, but I see no way in hell that Cam Newton doesn't win this game on Sunday.
Really?
Because he comes in, first of all, pissed off, right? Because you had a chance to win the game. If he bounced it around the corner, he would have won the game. He didn't do that. I heard he was watching film on the Raiders 5 minutes after the game ended. He didn't even take a shower. He was watching film on the Raiders like 5 minutes after the game ended. So when I see that, and I see the fuel that Cam Newton has this year and just the need to prove everyone and their mother that they were wrong about him, that there was no reason he should have been unemployed for 84 days. I'm betting on my quarterback.
Absolutely.
I'm betting on Cam Newton.
Absolutely. I hear you. Yeah. But I'm going with the Death Star. Those guys are on the road right now. I believe in Darren Waller. I told you I believe in Jacobs now. I'm going with them. I'm sold on them. Ruggs is having an amazing career so far. Derek Carr is doing his job, and the defense is playing actually really well. So I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with the Raiders.
All right, fair enough. We got Texans and Steelers. This is a good football game, and I really don't see the Texans going 0-2. It's kind of hard to understand that point of view, especially with all the hype going into the season. But the Steelers are playing really good football right now. Chris, What's your pick?
I'm going with the Steelers.
Why?
The defense. That's why. Houston has been basically crippled by defenses so far this year, and they haven't figured it out. So until they prove me wrong, I'm going to go with the opposite team.
I'm gonna roll with Pittsburgh as well. And like you said, the reasons why, the defense, his name is Minka Fitzpatrick, I think, too. Bud Dupree's playing his ass off on the edge.
Playing so hard.
He's playing so well. And the Texans, like you said, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head here. Their defense has been the plague of their entire season so far. And I do not want to see them go down 0-3. But I think the Steelers actually pull this one out. Going to the next game here. Bengals and Eagles. And this is a very interesting game, a game between two 0-2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see happening in this 1 o'clock game?
I see me falling asleep on the couch and waking up to a final score of, I give them 21-13.
Who?
In favor for, honestly, it don't matter. Either one of them could take it.
That's such a cop-out. Give me a personal win. Let's go.
Eagles.
I'm glad you picked that. I'm going with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Mixon's going to decimate this Eagles defensive front seven. Joe Burrow's going to throw for a couple touchdown passes, and they're going to wipe their asses with the Eagles defense. I'm going with Cincinnati Bengals.
We'll see.
We'll see. Titans and Vikings. I'm not even going to spend time on this. Titans.
Yeah, Titans.
Until the Vikings can show me that they're competent offensively in any way, shape, or form, I'm going with the Titans.
It's going to be another slow game just because they run the ball a lot on both sides, both teams. So, but I think the Titans win this.
The Washington football team and the Cleveland Browns, 1 o'clock game here. Now, this might surprise some people. I'm just kidding. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I was going to say when I take Dwayne Haskins. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
I was about to really start considering some other options with you. Yeah, definitely Cleveland on the way. They're hitting right now. I'm pretty sure they'll come back out trying to light up the score again.
I'm with you on that. A great game at 1 o'clock to kind of finish the dog here. The Rams and the Bills. This is a team that are going back and forth, up and down with some of these games they've played. The Rams look really, really great. Jared Goff's looked really, progressive, and he looked very competent. But this Bills defense is for real. And so is the Rams defense. But do I think Jalen Ramsey has the speed to keep out Stephon Diggs down the field? I have a question about that. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going with the Rams. And the reason why is because it's not can he keep up with Stephon Diggs down the field? It's can Stephon Diggs get off the jam? That's the thing.
Okay.
He is a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and he's a lot longer. So if he catches him, that route is going to be off.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't really press this team because they have a lot of weapons deep in their arsenal. Even a guy like Cole Beasley, who's basically Edelman duplicated, right? John Smokey Brown, who's a burner himself.
Yes.
Is the Rams secondary deep enough to compete with all of those weapons downfield? I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that.
I think so, and I think they'll end up playing like a four cloud, where they will be locked down with Stephon Diggs and Jalen Ramsey, and everybody else is going to be playing off.
If they play cover 4, Josh Allen having a field day on the ground.
We'll see. I don't know how when you got Aaron Donald out there.
Hey, one player is only one player. One player is only one player. I'm just going to say that. Also, I'm praying, Chris, I had a dream about this last night. I'm praying we see Josh Allen versus Aaron Donald in the open field. Just go at it one-on-one, no slide. Just who wins that matchup? I want to see that so badly. Oh, please let it happen.
Oh man!
Pray to the football gods.
I'm gonna play for Allen because you're just giving him a death sentence.
Yeah, no, seriously, I want that too. All right, the final 1 o'clock game, the Bears and the Falcons. I'm going with the Falcons. I think Matt Ryan proves the Chicago Bears are false, and they're not really that good of a team, even though their record indicates otherwise. The Atlanta Falcons win the game.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with you on that one. I'm gonna go with the Falcons on that. But please do not prove me wrong and give up the game because you guys need to run the ball. Put that on the shirt. Run the ball.
Run the ball. I like that.
Run the ball.
Run the ball. Remind me that. Actually, text me that later.
And I'm a wide receiver. That lets you know a lot.
That's
I'm
a
a wide
good
receiver.
Run the ball.
And I like to catch the ball.
Love it.
But you need to run the ball.
You
need to win some games. Come on now. I like Dan Quinn. Come on, man. You know the game. We've been there together and we've seen how people are doing it. And now you're out here. You're a head coach that you've been one for the longest, and you're not performing right now. You gave up two games that were egregious. The games you should have won, and you just giving it up. You don't have not a care in the world. It looks like he doesn't have a care in the world. That's my guy. I like him a lot, and he's a part of my agency. So I definitely got to rock with him. But come on, man, come on.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. Panthers at Chargers. This is probably one of the most interesting games on the docket here because of how evenly matched these two teams are. You saw Carolina the first week exploded with points, 30 points on the board, and then, kind of just didn't perform at all against Tampa Bay. The Chargers, we're not even sure it's going to start. We're not even sure if Tyrod Taylor's going to start. We're not sure if Justin Herbert's going to start. We don't know the health of Austin Eckler. There's a lot of question marks surrounding this game.
Yes.
It's a toss-up. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers because I think Tyrod Taylor ends up starting, and he doesn't really perform. And then Justin Herbert comes in the next week.
I'm going with the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm going with the Chargers, and I think that Herbert's going to be playing next week.
And that's just a toss-up, really. I really can't talk about that too much. It's a toss-up. We really know there's too many unknowns when it comes to the starters and start nots, when it comes to just how Teddy Bridgewater will react to this game after you got stomped on Tampa Bay. So it'll be. But you got to think
Chargers has a really good defense. So if he was doing bad against this past week, you can best believe he's going to have another bad game this week.
That's true. The Jets and the Colts.
Easy call.
It's an easy call because of how bad Phillip Rivers has been as a starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. But the Jets are really at the point where they are that miserable of a franchise that they're not going to win a game against old man Rivers. I'm going with the Colts.
I'm going with the Colts as well, man. They need. I just feel bad for them, man. They need to do better over there.
Yep, I agree with you. Bucks and Broncos. Both sides, definitely. Bucks and Broncos. And if Drew Lock was in this game, it might be a different story. But I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. And even if Drew Lock was there, I'd still be going with Tampa Bay.
Well, there's a lot of unknowns. I'm saying Courtland Sutton as well. A lot of different injuries, different ways.
Exactly.
But, the Cowboys and the Seahawks, the 425 game, rematch of a divisional game that went very, very poorly for the Seahawks just a short while ago. I'm going with Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson comes back with a vengeance here and shows, hey, this was a fluke game. MVP continues to roll for Russell Wilson. And I just don't really see a lot of people stopping the Seahawks this year.
Yeah, but and it's hurting me to say, but Dallas is looking extremely good out there, especially offensive-wise. Defensively, they need help.
Take Dallas then, Chris.
That's why I think it's going to be it's going to be a little lopsided game for them, and Russell Wilson's still going to play good, but Dallas might. Who am I kidding? Let's go with Seattle.
No. After that whole monologue, no. I'm putting you down as Dallas. I don't care. That was the whole monologue about how they're going to lose the game. I'm putting you down for Dallas.
It's tough. You gotta think. I'm an NFL player. I'm thinking logically here. I know what I'm seeing out there.
Chris, you actively talked yourself out of it, going on a rant why the Seahawks would lose. All right, here we go. Lions and Cardinals, the last 425 game of the week. Lions and Cardinals. I'm a big Matthew Stafford guy. I think actually might be a closer game than people will give it credit for. But Kyler Murray's playing exceptionally football right now.
Yes,
I'm going with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cardinals as well. Even though, like you said, I like Matthew Stafford as well, and then their whole defensive line that they have, but they're not going to be able to contain Kyler.
Exactly. Packers Saints, and this is going to be interesting as well. Is Michael Thomas back yet? Is the whole offense healthy? What can they do offensively? That's the big question. But I'm going to go on a limb here. Even if Michael Thomas is back, I'm still picking the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is on a tear right now, and the defense is playing better than anyone expected. And I think Jair Alexander is proving to you that he's an elite defensive playmaker. I'm going with the Packers.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you on that. I'm going with the Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers. I'm the Saints. I'm sorry, the Saints. I'm going with the Saints because, I already told you I'm not totally sold on Aaron Jones, and you're going to have to sit out there. You're going to have to be trying to block Jordan Cameron and company, and that's going to weigh on them. And then you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is just a phenomenal player, but when you don't have other receivers to really throw the ball to, it's going to be hard for you. And hopefully, D Adams, he comes back for another week and he does better than what he did this past week. But I'm going with the Saints.
Okay. I might catch you this week, Chris. I said it last week. You had a really good game, but I might catch you this week. I'm not liking your picks right now. I'm not liking them. See. All right. Chiefs and Ravens, Monday Night Football. This is probably the best game we got in the whole schedule. This is a great football game. And I really can't pick a side here. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. And that really depends on the health of Frank Clark. I do believe in that. But when it comes down to Lamar versus Mahomes, I just think Mahomes has the upper hand in that department. And I hate to say it because it will be a good game. And the Ravens actually have a better defense than the Chiefs do right now because of two reasons, health and Calais Campbell. But I'm still going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. This is gonna be a tough game. And like you said, with Frank Clark, being doubtful, I don't know if if he's gonna play or not. It's gonna be a big key. So with that, I think I want to go with. I really want to say it, but let's go. Let's go with it. Let's go with the Ravens. With the Ravens.
Honestly, I won't be upset if I even lose that game on the dog.
Yeah.
I want to
watch. It's a hard game.
It's a hard game. I just want to watch the football game. I want to sit down, have a cold drink, and just watch the game. That's what it's about. That's what football's about. It's watching two good teams go at each other in pursuit of that W. So
absolutely.
Those are our predictions for Week 3 for Stafford and Matthews. Before we go, we have a special guest coming on the next couple of weeks.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. Want to announce that little special guest you talked about before the show?
Oh, that's what you was talking about. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if you really want to say it, we got, a close friend, a really, really nice guy, electric player. He just had an amazing game this past week by the name of Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett coming to the Stafford and Matthews family. We love to see that. Obviously, connection with you in Seattle way back in the day. But
absolutely.
Electrifying player. Tore up the Patriots last night. I'll tell you that for certain on Sunday. But it'll be great to have Tyler on the show. We'll talk about Russell Wilson's MVP campaign, talk about the Seattle Seahawks defense with Jamal Adams, reinvigorating that team, and a whole other slew of stuff. So keep your eyes on that on the horizon. I think next week, right? I think next week we're setting it up. So we're going to do it next week.
I think we'll get it done next week.
So we'll probably release that before our next Stafford and Matthews episode in general. We'll have another 2.5 or 3.5 episodes. So look forward to that, guys. But that's all I have. Chris, anything for you?
I just want to say, guys, fans out there, I need you guys on my side because Joe doesn't know what he's talking about half the times with these picks. Like, come on my side, show me the love, hit me up on Instagram, give me some comments. I'll get into it. I'll actually start responding back to you guys, man. Like, give me some comments, let me hear this, and just be on my side.
This is slander.
We know where the real winner is gonna come from.
This is slander.
Yeah,
I'm only down 7 games in the schedule. You can't, it's week 2. Give me a break here. Lord. All right, Stafford and Matthews, episode 3 is in the books. We'll see you next time, hopefully, with Tyler Lockett. Peace, guys.